Excuse me. Hello. 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 How are you?
Oh my god.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey. How is you and everybody doing today on this fine Monday, October 30th?
I'm very well. How are you?
Pretty decent. I brought a lot of seaweed snacks because I feel like munching on shit, but I don't really feel like eating a million calories. I'm just sending out the
Seaweed
rest.
snacks from.
Oh, well, I mean, like, so I live in Vancouver, and we have a huge Asian population, so we get a lot of weird Asian stuff here. A lot of stuff that I don't know. I'm sure you could find them anywhere else, but they'd probably be in like Asian specialty stores, whereas like in Vancouver, you
Hello?
can just find them
Can
in any
you hear
regular
me?
grocery store. Hey, hi, how are you?
Hey, Adam.
Hello.
How's it going, man?
Very well. Very well. How are you?
I'm surprised you're not dressing up as Cool Cat. I think that would be pretty perfect, man.
Oh, for Halloween. Oh yeah, you know what? It is. Ah, shit. Man, should I have dressed up? I don't really think about that. I went to a Halloween party
It's gonna
on.
be great!
I went to a Halloween party on Saturday, and I just like I don't know. Like I used to put some thought and effort into dressing up for Halloween, but I really just it's I don't know. It's it depends what I'm doing, I guess. You know, like I would dress up for like convention or something. But
hello.
So I'm going to be distracted for the next like couple minutes just while I send out the rest of these invites because some of them I have to send out manually because they were done over PayPal. But you will have my full attention in just a couple minutes.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No need for apologies. I just need to. I gotta figure out a better way to do this because I told people that anybody who donates over like PayPal also gets the same perks.
Have you tried creating like a mailing list, like for like just compile a list of PayPal participants, maybe?
Yeah, I guess I would just have to figure that out before, like right as I'm doing it.
Right.
I'd have to compile them up and then have like a cutoff point because right now the I set up donation notifications for my Twitch stream, and so basically, if anybody donates. Pretty much, I don't even think I really set a cap on it. Like, if anybody donates like $1, it's like the words show up on the screen and this strange text-to-speech bot reads out whatever they have to say.
Oh.
And so now I'm just going through all my donations and I'm seeing all these like $1 donations that I have to click on each one and find out whether or not they're $1 because I'm just doing it through my email, right? It's the easiest way to respond. But I will be done this in a couple minutes just to make sure that everybody gets their invites properly.
Well, I want to ask everybody a question. Besides Adam, how's everyone doing?
Decent.
Doing well today. How about yourself?
Shit.
I'm
Pretty
fine.
fab.
I just had to do some training, but I'm fine.
Looking kind of spooky.
Of course, I'm looking spooky. I'm a fucking gorilla wearing sunglasses.
You're not Harambe, are you?
No, you're Kong Skull Island.
No, I'm really into know those guys. Harambe, he was. I mean, I don't even know who that guy is. I heard he's like some sort of person in some distant family that he died because he was holding some poor little nigger or black kid or something.
Whoa!
I don't know.
No.
I'm
Shit, no.
gonna set some ground rules right now,
Whoa.
saying that if that's not allowed on like Twitch, then it probably shouldn't be allowed in this Google Hangout, where there hopefully are a variety of different perspectives and political opinions within this chat, and can't honestly expect or assume everybody to be comfortable about that. And regardless of whether or not we could have a debate on that particular word, and I'm perfectly willing and open to have that kind of a debate. I'm pretty sure the Patreon Hangout is not the place that this debate should happen.
Yeah, you don't want to get Adam banned over that. God forbid.
Just a warning.
All right, but basically, long story short, he's pretty much a distant family member. I'm not sure cousin or whatever. We pretty much all look the same, except one is bigger than the other. So he died. People somehow wanted justice for Harambe, so I think that became a joke. I don't know. I don't follow the internet all that much. Did that become a joke? Did people make fun of that?
Harambe?
I don't know.
What about?
I'm not sure.
This has gone some very strange places, but it's at least entertaining.
That happened.
You know, at least we're all entertained. This is one of the most like various monthly hangout shows that exists. Honestly, at this point.
Is my microphone working?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, just checking.
If it's Halloween, we must talk about Jigsaw.
We can, but I will stress, try not to spoil the film.
Okay.
Even though, because I had the spoiler warnings in my review, we can like make, kind of insinuate and make hints, I guess, but not. I don't really want to. I don't really, for anybody who really wants the experience of that clusterfuck of an explanation for that film.
Yeah,
I don't want
to
rob them of that experience.
Yeah, no spoilers. All right, guys. I think it's best if you don't like the Saw series, don't watch, obviously. But if you're at all interested, check it out, experience it for yourself. I didn't like it. I thought it was a pile of shit.
Well, yes. I thought I don't know. It really depends what you want to get out of it or the franchise, because I got my money's worth for sure, but I was also kind of disappointed. Like I enjoyed it and was disappointed at the same time. And I just posted my video on it like a couple days ago. So anybody who wants really thorough details about why that's the case, feel free to watch it. Because I don't really want to spoil anything here, but those are just my general thoughts on that.
I've seen the first 7 movies, and I really do not want to see Jigsaw. I'm really scared to see it because I'm afraid it'll ruin my happiness.
You can't. Oh man, but you can't. Sorry, I just kind of.
I really like the first 7 ones, even if the timeline made absolutely no sense. I'm just afraid it'll ruin my happiness with the series.
What's the worst that could happen?
I'm disappointed.
I've only ever seen the first one.
Like I've always kind of felt that as much as I can hate a sequel or like a prequel or bastardization or something trying to continue a franchise that ruins the overall universe, I've never really felt as though it took away from the original film itself. So like even I've ranted a bunch about The Descent Part 2, but it's not gonna. I never feel at risk for thinking like, oh yeah, this ruins The Descent for me. Like I've never felt that way, And I understand that a lot of people feel that way about certain forms of media, but I don't know. It's always like I've always just felt like the original's still there, and I can still experience it no matter what bastardization someone else comes up with. I don't know about what you guys think about that, but
I'm kind of on two minds with this. If it's something that like has heavy continuity, like Star Wars, like I know the prequels have their fans. I don't get it, honestly. I still don't get it to this day why it has its fans. But that is a film trilogy. The prequels have utterly destroyed and raped Star Wars, and it was. I mean, that took more offensive for Saw. I'm a bit loose on because like I don't know. After Saw 3, I think the series started to go downhill. I know Saw 3 is kind of dumb. I mean, all of them are kind of dumb, especially the first one has its dumb moments. Especially Carrie Elway's like delivering like an intense intense threatening like I'm gonna kill you, son of a bitch, and then his wife comes up, Holly.
Oh yeah, there's tons of. So I guess I didn't mention this in my video, but I hosted a Saw series marathon before the actual Jigsaw film date, and my friend actually came in like from Alberta all the way from like a different province out of town to like attend this marathon with me so we could watch all of the films back to back before watching Jigsaw. And it was I mean we were both like kind of crazy Saw fans way back when, because we were a lot younger and we took a lot of it really, like, I guess more seriously than we do now. But now watching them as like older adults, it's although I still have a lot of appreciation for especially the first film, like so much of it is just incredibly cheesy. Like even in the first film alone, it's just so cheesy. And Carrie Elways cannot really act that well. It always seems like he's acting, like every line he's delivering.
I think it all comes down to him faking an American accent, which constantly breaks every 10 minutes or every 10 lines. Like
yeah, sometimes. Yeah, you can hear it.
Yes, he's like, don't try to yell. I was like, I tried it, doesn't work. And then there's like when he's like giving exposition about, I don't know, John Kramer's health, you can hear that accent trying to break through. I'm like, don't hold me down. Your American accent is terrible.
Yeah, there's definitely points where it's more apparent than others.
Is it as bad as Gerard Butler in Geostorm?
I haven't seen that yet.
I actually haven't either. I just saw a bunch of clips from it. It's hilarious, just him trying to yell.
Know, a lot of people are talking about Geostorm as the so bad that it's good movie that everybody wants to see. I think the Snowman looks pretty good. Myself, the Snowman looks pretty good.
I say that. I mean, my opinion. I did see the Snowman.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did. Oh my God, what an absolute train wreck that was. It was more of a disappointment than I mean. I was just disappointed by it because I was like, the trailers look so cool, and then the movie came out, and then right before the movie comes out, there was this whole thing that was leaked out about this. Not leaked out, but pretty much said about the production behind this and how it was absolute train wreck. That they only shot 20 to shot 20 to 10 to 20% of the script, and I'm like, oh, that's not good. But I went into like, okay, you know what? There have been plenty of movies where they've been changed around with scripts and everything. They turn out to be pretty entertaining. So I gave this the benefit of the doubt. I went in. I was absolutely bored. I fell asleep during half through. I'm like, wait, it's still going? I'm like, wait. And then the mystery came out, and I'm like, this is dumb. This is horrible. It's boring, and I did my best to remember it. It's just a boring movie, and it's absolutely incomprehensible.
That much I could have figured.
Yeah, and
I have no frame of reference to what you're talking about. I don't think anybody's seen it.
No, I don't really recommend it. And it bombed at the box office, and nobody remembers that movie. People forgot the movie more than that one Alien ripoff movie that came out in March. I'm not sure what it was called. I think it started Maggie Gyllenhaal or something. I don't know.
Was it like an asylum movie or?
No, I think it was some sort of high. But I mean, it could be. It was like some.
I mean, so like the Martin Scorsese was supposed to direct it, and
what?
He did direct.
Really?
He apparently directed a significant amount of it, and then he moved on to producer, and the project got thrown over to what is his name? Like Thomas
Alfredson. He did let the right one in.
Yeah. I know who he is. And I mean, apparently a lot of people love Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. I just found it to be very like poorly communicated and confusing. But anyway, apparently they set on to complete the rest of the film, and after filming had already stopped, after they had moved on to the editing, they realized that 15% of the movie wasn't actually shot when they thought it was, and supposedly they tried to fix the movie through editing despite having a lot of it missing, which is just something that I read with an interview from Thomas Alfredson before the movie's out, like already talking to the press about why the movie's shit before it's even out. Like once all the Metacritic scores had come in. That's always a good sign. Anybody remember Josh Trank and his whole fiasco?
Oh god, don't remind me of Fan Forsick. I mean, oh my god. I've heard there's this channel on YouTube. It's called Midnight's Edge. I don't know if you guys heard of it.
Yes.
They pretty much do like they do production. They talk about behind the scenes stuff on different movies. They did one for The Snowman, and this like a few years ago when Van Forsick was upon society as a whole. They did this whole behind the scenes where Josh Trank, like, people are like, oh, it's Fox's fault. Well, actually, it's Trank's fault. For one, trying to adapt pretty much the most hated Fantastic Four thing ever, which was Ultimate Fantastic Four, which is a different timeline altogether. And the reason why casual fans bitch about the fact that they changed the origin is because nobody has read Ultimate Fantastic Four, nobody remembers. And for good reason. It's fucking garbage. So, Josh Trank came on set. He was acting up. He was drunk. All this shit was a complete fucking fiasco. And then Fox had to come in and, like, they pretty much saw, like, how it was completely absolutely true. They had to go in and change things around, and it just turned out to be a disaster. But then again, it was already bad from the outset. So, I mean, it was only a matter of time before something like this would happen. So, and if it came out and it fucking sucked.
I just want to jump in here and just make a quick note to consider. And I mean no offense by this, but it feels like this is turning into another one of those hangouts where the conversation is dominated by a very small group of people, and that not a lot of people get to participate in the group discussion. And I just want to stress to be aware of how much people are letting other people talk, and I feel like the conversation has been very much dominated by a very, very small group of people right here. And I would kind of not force anybody to participate, but I just want to ensure that everybody is able to participate in the discussion, because right now it seems as though the conversation has kind of been like you kind of have to like push to get in, and that's not really the environment that I want for people that are, paid $10 to come chat and stuff. I just as long as everybody's aware and participate in the discussion, as long as it's not completely dominated by like a couple people only.
We'll think of something.
Yeah.
Well,
All
in
right,
that
I
case,
have some questions. Has anyone been trying to see some new Netflix stuff that's coming out? Because I don't know, I'm kind of half and half in Netflix a lot of the time, and I know they put like how is it like $8 billion into their movies recently.
Yeah.
And I was kind of in the mood to watch something dumb and fun because I already saw Gerald's Game, but flawed because I don't know, Mike Flanagan's an okay director, but Hush has its problems. So does other stuff. But I was like, there's something else that's coming out, and it was The Babysitter, and it looked really stupid but kind of fun. So
is that the sequel to The Baby Driver?
Yes, it's the critically acclaimed sequel
where he's like he has headphones in while he sits on babies.
Yeah. So anyways, it's directed by Mick G, which I didn't really realize, which was red flag immediately. But it was like 3 a.m. I didn't really give a shit. And I gave it a go, and it was one of the cringiest movies I've ever fucking seen. And I just really try and avoid these, but the new Netflix system gets rid of all of the stars now, so it's just thumbs up or down or how it's recommended.
Yeah.
It's really fucking scammy. Anyways, it was one of the worst things I've seen in a while, and this isn't a huge spoiler, even though I don't know anyone would want it. Just there's a jump scare by a fern, by a potted plant. Someone runs into a fucking plant.
Oh, that sounds good.
It was horrible. So beware.
MCG. I remember when I was really like I always loved like Eminem, and when I was a lot younger, like I was pretty obsessed with like everyone even loosely associated with him and like D12 and Dr. Dre. I would seek out, and I would immediately become interested. So I saw this DVD case at the video rental store for a film called The Wash, starring Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg.
Oh,
And it was directed by DJ Pooh.
Oh my
That's
god.
so funny.
DJ
Oh my
Pooh-Tang.
god, that's
Now you're hanging out with all these rappers and you call yourself DJ Pooh, and you directed a really shitty movie. And you're clearly just their friend, and that's how you have this movie.
DJ Pooh 2, a Medea Halloween.
Yeah.
oh shit.
Oh, god. Fuck that movie.
There's a weird fan base of people who actually like defend the first one a lot. Like there's some YouTube reviewers who like genuinely consider it to be like a fun guilty pleasure. Like
The first what?
one. And I haven't seen it yet. I was dragged to like I think Medea's witness protection.
Oh,
and
Medea.
it was
Oh,
yeah, sorry. And it's really just not a great time. But
it was just there was a point early on when I started doing like my YouTube thing and like doing lists and like trying to seek out every movie in a year that could be interesting to see if I'd like it. And it was really early on, and I just like I was like, Tyler Perry is a person who puts their name in front of every single film they've ever made, and I watch a lot of trailers, and so I was like, who's this Tyler Perry guy? Why is he so apparently so reputable that we hear his name everywhere? It's literally just because he puts his name in front of every movie he makes. He's like, Tyler Perry's, like he just insists upon his own credibility and fame. That
Credibility.
it created it, and now he's a famous person that sells a lot. And I genuinely tried. There were films that I tried watching of his, and I don't even remember what they're called, but they weren't Medea. But he's directed other movies, and they were really, really, really bad.
oh yeah.
Is Haneke getting
I just
gone
saw the
through
one
a
where
little-
she went to jail. And it was like so tonally confused. It kept going between like a comedy and a dead serious movie.
It seems like something that should just be 20 years ago. It should like earnest movies, like you don't get that kind of thing anymore, except with like Medea. Like we're literally just gonna do this one character, and we're gonna change the title of the movie by saying, here's what thematic adventure she's going to have today, and that's it.
So, yeah, the guy who plays just is dead. Tyler Perry isn't yet.
Yeah. I wish the second what you said on Medea Goes to Jail. I did see it once in theaters. Someone took me to see it. I was like, what the hell? I'll see it. And like what you said, I can't even say your name. Zamarin. I'll just call you Xavier. Why not? Is that
Zamran.
Zamarin? Okay, thank you. I could second what you said because that film, that is one of the worst films I've ever seen. That has a massive tone issue. Like, one minute you have Medea with her, shenanigans and her, with stuff like, going to jail and stuff. And the next, you're cutting to this whole thing about prostitution, dark past with college rape. I'm like, holy shit. Am I watching two movies? Pick one. Are you going to go with a silly comedy about a silly crime comedy or a serious dramatic movie about prostitution and all this? I'm like, pick your fucking movie. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, and the drama part had pretty bad acting.
I've seen worse.
I always hate it when a comedy film that works very well as a comedy decides that because of the checklist of what popular comedy films have done, because of that formula, they decide that between going into the third act, like second to third act, the two main characters or more have to experience some sort of hardship and possibly hate each other. And then sad music plays and you get like a montage, and it's not played comedically. That's the worst part about it. If it's done ironically, then it's like, okay, fine, but as soon as this film is like, we've been doing nothing but unserious comedy that's supposed to make you laugh, and everything's been really not taking itself seriously at all. Then all of a sudden, 2/3 through the film, we're going to throw in this everybody's supposed to feel bad right now. These characters, you care about them all of a sudden, and it's just it's very frustrating, and it pisses me off. And I remember when I watched Pineapple Express, I was like, fucking really, you're gonna do that montage where you hate each other, and then everything's fine right after that montage, and the comedy continues again. Don't make me wait to get back to the movie that I enjoy. Just don't have that shit in the movie. You don't need that in there if you want to do like a legitimate comedy, you know? If that's what you're going for, you don't need that.
A movie that did that like better was Planes, Trains and Automobiles. Like they got that stuff out of the way in the first act of the movie, like between Steve Martin, Planes, Trains and Automobiles.
I've seen that done before too. I can't think of a good example other than the film you just mentioned. But yeah, I've definitely seen comedy films where like there's like a well done, seriously toned section that sets up the rest of the film. And that can work. And you know what? I mean, depending on what a movie is going for, what I just mentioned, the whole like second to third act thing could also theoretically work and has worked, as long as it's a film where the comedy and the serious aspects of it or drama are both done equally well, like competently. Unfortunately, there's just a lot of cases where comedy as a genre is treated almost kind of like an easy cop-out, like, oh, it's easy to make people laugh, you just be goofy and silly, blah, blah, blah. And then when they try to do something serious, like the dramatic parts of the film, it's like, oh, well, I can kind of, okay, I guess kind of shows how competent you are at expressing this kind of emotion, you know?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if, like, I don't know, Monty Python or anything, if they tried to do that kind of thing? Like the Holy Grail, but then like midway through.
Yeah, but you'd almost like immediately assume that it's done ironically just because of how they talk and everything too. You know? Because of how they project their voices. It always feels so tongue in cheek. It always feels so not serious.
Hey Adam,
yeah.
Is there a full version of your karaoke session with aqua cover? I don't know. I just wanna listen to a cover full length. I don't know. Is there a full version of your karaoke session from your blog? Yeah. Candyman Lollipop. I love it.
You know what's funny? I was listening to that song in the car like 2 days ago. Such a catchy song. I don't think there's a full version now. It was just snippets taken off of like my camera phone. That'd be a funny song to cover. What a catchy band. What a catchy album. Even though most of their songs are like literally the same. Like very formulated music, but very fun.
What is that?
It's seaweed.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, I thought it was marijuana for a second.
Speaking of seaweed, didn't someone say you sound like Squidward over Twitter or something like that?
Yeah, I get I sound like Squidward. I sound like Nathan for you. Lumpy Space Princess. What else? I sound like the girl from Bob's Burgers. Tina. Yeah. I sound like a bunch of weird voices that are generally filled with disdain and the tone of sounding unimpressed.
I do have a question about okay, so I know when you talk about movies that you have a lot of issues with your big extended reviews, do you intentionally put that voice on just for comedic effect?
Well, it depends like what you're talking about, because I think I put more of a voice on earlier in my reviews, like way early on, like 2010. And then, when I'm talking about something, I'm trying to at least project my voice. Like even right now, there's some of that there, I guess. But I don't know. I almost feel like once I'm like getting into it, and like as I'm going along, and as I'm expressing the points that I'd like to make about the subject, I almost feel like I have to put more thought into turning off that kind of voice than putting it on at all. So like, you know, I can't, it's difficult for me to be like yelling at something but stay this tone. So as soon as I'm frustrated enough with something that I'm basically yelling at it anyway, and also, you know, trying to have somewhat of a stage voice, I guess. Yeah, it's not like a character kind of voice. It's not like I'm playing a different person, if that's what you mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't put a whole lot of thought into how the voice sounds, other than making sure that everything's clearly enunciated and and easy to understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most thought that I put into it.
Oh, Adam, I wanted to also thank you because I watched the last Hangout and you recommended Xavier Renegade Angel maybe 2 Hangouts ago, and it is one of my new favorite shows. It is
awesome
incredible. Show. I mean, you can't really say you binged it because it's so short, but I guess I did. It is so hilarious, and it's such amazing replay value. Like, I've tried to get all my friends to watch it now, and I've noticed there's a bit of a resurgence, but it's so packed. Every goddamn second of it has a gag.
You can literally watch it start to finish and then immediately start watching it again. You could it can just be an endless loop.
Frittata. It's just
Frittata.
So good. Nice. And even just things like the backwards knees, like what it's so great. It's just the way the physics works of everything, and how it's basically the same voice, just like an even cruder South Park in a way. I don't know.
I wrote down on a piece of paper that I should probably do a Xavier Renegade Angel video. I think that would be something that would be pretty easy to get out, maybe around my like 2015 list, as I'm trying to do that for next month. Because that would be, I mean, like, yeah, you're right. Like the whole show doesn't span over a whole lot of actual runtime, and it is something that. Like, when did it air again? Let's see.
I think it's 2007.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was ahead of its time, which sounds weird, and a lot of people just plain won't believe. Like, I'll make this video, and there'll be people that are like, this is just stupid bullshit. Like, you're losing your credibility whenever people hear me recommend something they don't like. But this is something that I feel is like at the right time for people to start appreciating it. Because I mean, it's almost no surprise at all how short of a life it had on cable. You know, it almost feels like it should have been produced as an online show, which is what Tim and Eric felt like for a while, and that was around.
Yeah.
It's 29 on IMDb. That's
also because Rick and Morty fans are kind of destroying the show. I mean, the show, there's still good episodes in it, but it's kind of, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a total alternative, but there's a lot of similar themes and kind of jokes going on, just at a higher frequency.
What do you mean by destroying the show? I would like to.
Well, I don't mean like actually destroying the show, because individually I still think the show is really good content, but it's almost
Rick and Morty.
Yeah, Rick and Morty. Like the fans, there's kind of a toxic quality almost. Like, I watch an episode, I'm like, this is funny, but it's going to become a meme that's going to be driven into the ground, and a lot of that relies on
musically.
As soon as Pickle Rick was in their promo, I was like, this is the one. This is the one. And it's fun, and you know, I don't think that Pickle Rick is unfunny just because a lot of people just because the normies love it. But I don't know. There's parts about the show that I really love, parts about the show that I think are not that great, but
I mean,
no matter how many people enjoy it and start to be really dumb about it, it's not gonna really affect my opinion on how it speaks to me and the experience that I get out of it.
I completely agree. I just and I will still continue to watch the show no matter what happens. It's just kind of annoying, like the association I had of, I'm like, oh, if I want to recommend it, you kind of get clumped. Oh no, there's now a stigma against anyone who watches Rick and Morty, even in certain like Twitter things. Just kind of weird.
And it's almost, to some extent, it's the fault of the people who would be harshly judging the content of the show based on its fans.
Right.
There's going to be someone who's like, oh, no, I'll never watch Rick and Morty because look at all these idiots. Then it's like, okay, you're lost. Whatever. You can just not watch things because there's dumb people out there. Like, okay, well, a lot of stupid people really like water, so stop drinking it.
I also want your opinion on something. Maybe it's a bit obvious, but the whole Szechuan sauce thing that happened a few weeks ago. What do you think about that? And then McDonald's is caving in to give us more. Szechuan sauce.
I thought it was. I don't know. Part of me is like, I wonder what it tastes like, but that's me with everything. Honestly, there's nothing about the Szechuan sauce that's like I need to taste it. I'm the kind of guy that, like, if I'm eating food with friends, it's like, oh, can I have just a tiny bit? Not because I'm hungry, just because I want to taste it. And so, like, my curiosity of like what it tastes like is the only real part of this that makes me interested. But the McDonald's sent like a jug of it to Justin Roiland, and then he ate it with like Ethan and Ela. And so I found it funny that they gave the restaurants some of these, and apparently didn't have enough, and there was just people that were mad that they couldn't get some. I don't know how long people were waiting outside. I don't know what kind of like troubles that they experienced because of this, but I do find it a little silly that anyone would seriously care about not getting some Szechuan sauce. The one guy that people keep sharing on like Cringe Anarchy and everything, of the guy that like stands on the counter and goes, I want my Szechuan sauce, pickle and just rees. I think that, like, it was kind of funny because not like, oh yeah, people should be doing that and making people uncomfortable in public spaces. Like, that's kind of like, okay, don't do that. But it's not like he's unaware of how stupid he looks. He literally read and went on the floor and put his shirt up. But not like, oh yeah, cringe. Like, oh, look how embarrassing this guy is, who's unaware of how embarrassing he's been. Like, he's doing exactly what he's trying to do. Like, this is what he wants to do, and he wants you to share it. He wants you to think it's stupid, and you're just giving him what he wants. So it's like, okay, well, I don't know. How can you? There's a lot of just people that get upset and care too much about things that I don't see any reason to give that much attention or emotion.
One thing I want to bring up about the Szechuan sauce hurricane that happened on Saturday was that there was apparently a guy who wanted it so much that he wanted to trade his own car for it.
Apparently,
I'm dead serious.
Apparently, yeah. Some people, I think I read something like that. And either, I don't know what the sources are on that story. But regardless, whether or not it is true, there's people out there that either have more money than they know what to do with and are just stupid people that have no sense of financial responsibility and are just looking to be stupid and get rid of their money, like that's just a type of person that exists, and I don't think people should be surprised when we are reminded that this is a type of person that exists. It's like, it's not a new thing. People spend their money on stupid shit. Remember the that Powerball, and people thought like, oh yeah, like if I spend my entire life savings on this, then I'll definitely win this Powerball. But the Powerball was like however many $1 million, like 100 million, billion, I don't know, remember. It was some stupid amount, and everybody got really excited over it, and just, of course people are going to do stuff like that. Maybe he's probably not even going to like eat the Szechuan sauce. He's probably just going to save it, and it'll be like his own collector's item, and be like, yes, this is ultimate collector's item, and then the value of it will be significantly lowered when McDonald brings out even more So bad decision.
Speaking of collector's items, did anyone do anything for the Criterion flash sale?
There have been so many flash sales, and I've almost just stopped participating in them because I have enough Criterion films that I haven't seen yet that I own that I know are supposed to be good, but I haven't watched them. That I don't really want to buy more unless I've seen the movie, and I know, and I'm comfortable with it. So I bought the Three Colors trilogy. So I haven't seen that yet, but I know it's supposed to be really good. I brought Double Life of Veronica. Again, haven't seen it yet, but I know it's supposed to be good. I just watched Solaris as my kind of like, okay, I have too many movies I haven't seen. I haven't seen a Tarkovsky film. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. Very clever. Very clever usage of budget and limitations for the time, especially. Like, I thought it was really, really well done and really cool kind of psychological story to tell that made the film seem a lot bigger than it actually was practically. I realize I just kind of gave my answer to a group question, so I'll let other people answer.
What was the question?
I answer.
The question was about the Criterion flash sale and if anybody participated or.
La Pianiste got a Criterion release.
Same.
And I just got the box of 12 Blu-rays for the Michael Haneke collection.
Nice.
Just got it.
It's the big box.
It's in your Blu-ray collection.
Yeah, it's like right next to me. But it's also like a what do you call it? Like a pillar that if you remove it, the whole thing collapses.
Oh, like a placeholder or like something like that.
Not like centerpiece. What is it called? A structure. There's like
cornerstone.
Cornerstone?
Yeah, I don't think so.
It might be cornerstone. Doesn't matter, but that I just described exactly what would happen if I tried to take it out. And yes, I really want to see Stalker. That's another film that I bought but haven't seen.
Yeah, I got that one, and I got The Piano Teacher, and basically I did a whole Haneke. I don't even know how to say it. What is
Haneke is Haneke. the best interpretation that I have. And you know what? Who really knows at this fucking point? I just call him Hanky Chan.
Exactly. So I got a Hanky Chan marathon where I watched basically all of them except for Funny Games, and the hype was real. He knows what the hell he's doing. But The Piano Teacher is my favorite. It was incredible.
Oh yeah, that would be my favorite too. I love that movie so much. If anybody finds difficulty in pronouncing his name, Michel Haneke or Michel, I'm not sure. If all else fails, you can always just call him Daddy, and I think he would respond to that well. So
Daddy.
Yeah.
Making a joke.
There was a roundtable of directors, screenwriters, but there were like John Krasinski and Judd Apatow, and then there's Michael Haneke sitting.
Oh, I saw that. Right? I saw that. It's so funny.
He was like God, like sitting at that table. Like
he's so above like every other director. It's insane. I want him to live forever. But it wouldn't be life if everybody did.
Isn't he like 70 something?
He's
not
older
80
than
yet.
Trump.
Oh boy.
Oh
boy,
he's like 75 or 76 now. And he's still like I saw him at his Q&A in Toronto Film Fest. Like he doesn't seem like his mind is deteriorating or anything like that. He seems healthy, hopefully. Keystone. People are saying Keystone.
Okay.
Well, one person's saying it and spamming it, so stop spamming it. I hope he's got more films left in him, because I really value his voice in the industry. And I'm also really happy that like his exposure has really surged in the past 5 years, 10 years. I guess closer to 10 years. The White Ribbon would have been like the ones that the one that got him his first Oscar nomination, and then That actually won that year, didn't it? Did that win Best Foreign Language?
It didn't win the Oscar. I think it won the Golden Globe for Best Foreign Language.
Yeah, Amore won though.
Amore won Best
Yeah.
Oscar. Yeah.
And it was also insane because like that was one of the first points in the Academy Awards, if I'm not mistaken, that a film like The White Ribbon, like a foreign language film, got nominated also for cinematography, where the Academy was just flat out saying like, oh, this isn't just like a foreign language film that we just plopped in here because we didn't know what to put here. Like this is something that actually has a lot of credibility and merit to it. And then especially with Amore, sure, the Oscars don't really matter, but I'm glad that he's getting like some mainstream recognition at this point when beforehand he was really well known in the critic and festival community, but not as well known in the mainstream community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he deserves to be making like good money for what he's doing. He deserves to be like respected and admired. Like as soon like right now already, I just like he's one of the greats. Like he's gonna be a person that, like, if not already, that people are going to use in like film studies, and he's gonna be this like mysterious figure after he's dead of people just like constantly still interpreting and understanding his works. And yeah, I love him.
The university I go to is already studying funny games, if that means anything.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I figure there's a lot of his films in current film study. Anyway, I'm just it's so strange to see like to have these ideas of like the greats, whether you want to talk about like Tarkovsky or Kubrick or Bergman or et cetera, and just to have one that's like still alive and still making films, it's a very interesting experience.
Well, on that subject, basically by this time I think I've seen every single movie by Denis Villeneuve, and
Denis Villeneuve.
Exactly. And I don't know. He constantly. I mean, even though Polytechnique is a little messy, it's still he's constantly just putting out hit after hit year after year, and I really think he's going to be the next big voice. At least one of them. He's got it.
Every direct. I'm not sure. I love Denis Villeneuve. I love him. I'm not exactly sure I would put him in that same category. He's a lot closer to a Christopher Nolan than he is to like an auteur, one of the greats kind of director. Not trying to like delegitimize him or what he does, but it just in like his when I consider someone to be like one of the greats, there has to be like a supreme level of like uncompromising personal vision that goes into it that can be controlled from almost every sense of it. And I don't know, I feel like I love Denis Villeneuve, obviously, like all of his the films he's made in the past 5 years, and there's been 5 in the past 5 years. They've all been great. But with him, it's almost like it seems like more of like a collaborative effort. Like Roger Deakins is to attribute to a lot of it as well. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you can understand what I'm trying to say, or if I understand.
No, I get it. I get it. It's like he doesn't really have a singular voice. He's just singularly consistent. Whereas, like when you see, even though Fincher isn't like one of the greatest greats, he's pretty fantastic, and it's his film, and it's very thematically and visually consistent. And he I know you're saying his movies are consistently successful in a way, but he doesn't really have that singular voice. Like I watch a Hanky Panky movie, and I just fucking know. Like, you know, there's a level, there's an elevated level to what I'm watching that it's expected.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure the best way to put it, but that's like kind of what I was getting at.
I also, sorry.
Go for it.
Oh, well, I want to speak on the topic of Denis Villeneuve. You know what? Fuck, I'm gonna call him Denis V.
Villeneuve.
Villeneuve.
Vil like baby cow, and then Neuve as in
Nerve 2016.
Yeah, like, yeah. Anyway, Neuve.
Okay, so I know that I know you did a review of Blade Runner 2049, and I know a lot of people love that movie, and people are very butthurt about the fact that it bombed. Me, I'm a little on two minds on this. But first, I want to say this: is that I don't think the film is as good as people say it is. On its own, it's a great movie. As a sequel to Blade Runner, that movie takes so many leaps in logic with its world and its mythology. It makes up its own rules.
Remember, no spoilers.
Really are really more personal gripes to me. I'm not going to get into that because I don't want to ruin it for everyone. But I think like on its own, it's great. As a sequel, it's not the best of sequels I've seen. It's good, but there's things that really bug the shit out of me. That kind of at times it feels like a fan film. And I mean,
it's a sequel that exists as a way to faithfully but still creatively depart and jump off of what the first film set up, and not one that aimed to be a carbon copy or rehashing of the first film, which is a very rare thing to find in a sequel nowadays. When you look, especially in the generation that we're in of soft reboot kind of sequels, where you look at something like even like Finding Dory, the entire film was just, hey, let's do the exact same thing over and over again and reference the first film, or like Episode 7, or like Jurassic World, or like, you know, a billion movies that have been coming out that are either sequels or soft reboots that don't depart enough. And when you depart from the original, you are taking a risk of being unfaithful, and you are taking a risk of creating something that some fans of the original might not want to see. But I really thought that Blade Runner 2049 is one of the best examples of a sequel that doesn't just copy the original and creates an entirely new film out of it, but it is still something that is faithful to the original and without being scared of doing anything new, you know?
Yeah, I understand, but I mean that's one thing when you make a new story, but it's a whole nother thing when they just make up a bunch of rules that don't align with the original just for the sake of propping back older characters that don't need to be propping back. And I mean, I think there's a lot of ideas that really work, but I just think the film looks, in terms of the aesthetics, I know this is kind of a minor thing for some people for really me to pick on, but it's just something that always bugged me. The overall look, it looks nice, but it looks way too glossy. Even when he's in that, even when he's in the outer world, it still looks way too glossy. It felt like it needed more grit to it, like the first movie had, where it's, it gave its film the more aesthetic.
I mean, it was juxtaposed. There was it was the idea of combining the gritty with the glossy. It was the idea of having this massive leap forward in technology, but still being, surrounded by people in the slums and people that, not just people, but environments of poverty and dirt and grit. And if they tried to make something where it was just consistently dirty and grimy and gritty, then there wouldn't be that juxtaposition, which is, I would say, somewhat at the core of what kind of cyberpunkish genres like that are trying to do.
Like, the entire point of like cyberpunk genre is basically high technology, low life, right? That kind of contrast is deliberate.
Yeah, I think I'm not an expert, but I would say that there was a deliberate intent for that kind of juxtaposition to have those contrasting feels in the same environment to create kind of a dystopian Orwellian feel to it that wasn't necessarily overkill, that wasn't really like, oh yeah, like the whole thing's about big brother government sneaking in on your lives and stuff like that, but just something that created like a unique feel to a universe that was interesting to watch, and it felt consistent with itself, like it didn't feel like it wasn't consistent with its own rules or its own universe or its own setting. Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it was amazing. I loved it a lot, and it's my experience out of it and the enjoyment that I have watching it. It's like it feels like it should be a 10, but it's a 9 for me. Like it can't be a 10, just because of some minor cheese and issues, and
I want to talk about
a couple things with it, that prevent it from being perfect. But
I want to talk about one thing that bugged the shit out of me in that movie.
As long as it's not a spoiler.
No, it's an actor, an annoying method actor by the name of Jared Leto. Fucking hell. Okay, let me talk about the character. This character, I don't like him at all. He's not interesting. He's boring. He looks stupid. And Jared Leto, I've come to the conclusion that he cannot act. Whether either it be mugging at the camera or him pretty much slapping his hands together in Suicide Squad, saying,
well, you can't take his performance from another movie to judge his performance in this film.
But I want to talk about the character. The character's not interesting. There's very little time for him. Roy Batty in the original, played by Rutger Hauer, is one of the greatest villains in all of cinema. He is interesting, he's sympathetic, and he's absolutely entertaining. Jared Leto's whatever thing that was, that's it doesn't hit all those check marks. It doesn't hit it. He's boring.
Because I mean, like when you're describing the different characters, like first of all, I don't think that the two were meant to be compared as like side by side. Here's what we're doing with this movie. Here's what we're doing with this movie. Like I don't think the characters are supposed to be like compared like that. But when you're mentioning each of them, you're using a lot of really subjective descriptions. You're like, he was boring, uninteresting, I didn't care about him, and this guy was interesting, sympathetic, blah blah blah. But it's like you're talking about your experience with it without really referencing like any kind of objective qualities as towards the presentation of the character or anything that would exist beyond your own interpretation of it.
I think if there's sorry, Hugo.
Go for it.
I was going to say, if there's any comparison to be made, it would be between Tyrell, and actually I think they're fairly similar, and I don't think that's a spoiler, but I think they're fairly similar in the way they carry themselves and their ambitions and their views on life. So, I mean, there would be a different comparison between Roy Batty in my mind, and I thought he was kind of, he's mildly hammy in some scenes. He was kind of, playing into the whole, like, very metaphorical playing God kind of thing going on there. Mm-hmm. But it was distant, and I think it was restrained enough, especially compared to his other stuff. Like even, when he's in like Panic Room, he gets a little bit kitschy. But I think there was, few enough scenes of him that it didn't become overbearing, and I think he just played the part well.
Yeah, I feel. I also kind of just want to point out that I don't think anybody is immune from this thing that happens where, for certain actors, depending on your opinion of the actor, depending on how well you know the actor, or what type of roles they've been cast in or typecast in, or et cetera, there's certain actors where it's no matter what they do, it's going to be difficult to see the character that they play because you're so familiar with the actor. And I feel like Red Letter Media, when they were talking about like The Revenant, they had that issue with Leo DiCaprio, and they were talking about how they couldn't get into his character because it was just they just saw Leo DiCaprio playing Leo DiCaprio. But I thought I thought he did a great job playing his character.
See,
And
after
I also mentioned in like Darren Aronofsky's Mother, like there was nothing wrong with what Jennifer Lawrence did, but I just saw Jennifer Lawrence, and I think it's important to make that distinction that that there's a possibility that can be from your own interpretation or bias or inability to view the actor as anybody but the actor themselves, no matter what they do. And I feel like that happens, and Jared Leto is probably one of those people to a lot of viewers. Personally, he gets on screen for me and I'm like, oh, that's definitely Jared Leto playing this character. But it was enough of, I felt that it was, enough of a departure from other characters that I've seen him play in terms of especially the tone of his voice. It was a very new tone to his voice that I hadn't heard him play before. I never really found myself thinking that he did a poor job playing the character. I never really found myself distracted by him being in the film. I was pretty much just able to watch and observe this character and what they're doing, and they felt intimidating in ways, etc., etc. I didn't really see anything wrong with Jared Leto and Blade Runner.
I honestly thought he was like very reserved and laid back.
Yeah, I mean, especially compared to Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
his performance was surprisingly muted. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck that movie.
A great film.
I've never seen it, but I kind of want to see it out of like morbid curiosity.
Yeah,
it's cringy.
It's funny how like I was having this conversation with my friend the other day. Like, if Iron Man 1 didn't work, like the whole Marvel universe, just like they wouldn't have. If people didn't like it, it wouldn't have happened the way it did. Like there was never really like, okay, this is the cornerstone film that we're going to set up, and like this has everything riding on it, and this needs to work, or else all this other money that we have invested in all these other things aren't going to work. And there's been films in the MCU that people didn't like as much, and they just pretend didn't happen, like the Hulk or whatever, Incredible Hulk. And they're, Marvel as a business, they're just like, okay, well, yeah, let's just gloss over these and like pretend that these didn't happen or whatever if people aren't into them as much, but continue on with our series, and we have this whole blah, 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 blah. Whereas the DC universe they don't give a shit. And even if the movie is like the most cancerous thing on the planet that nobody likes or that most people don't like, but still makes a little bit of money, kind of, they're gonna double down. Like they're gonna continue that. And in this universe, like Suicide Squad is a thing in the universe of DC, like Batman v Superman and all these. Like this is just I love that they're committing to this terrible timeline of films that are all apparently equally important and relevant to their timeline.
And Oscar winning.
Yeah.
The Oscar winning Suicide Squad, and then you have Jason Bateman like, what the fuck, are you serious? Really?
Yeah, at least didn't win anything super serious, I guess.
Yeah,
it was funny. But Jesus, I still haven't watched Batman v Superman. I'd really like to, just because I expect it to be trash. But
I remember hearing that the Blu-ray version is a little better.
It's not.
The Batman stuff's really good.
Okay, I'm gonna give a very vague description of the Blu-ray Ultimate Cut. Now, I remember when this thing was coming out, there were reviews coming in saying this is so much better than the original. I'm like, oh, okay, and I was like, okay, you know what? I give it a chance. It's a lot worse than the theatrical cut because he was like, oh, the editing's better. I'm like, yeah, there's things that flow better, but what they add is absolutely retarded. It's a lot worse because this is supposed to be Snyder's vision. That's what he said in an interview. And if that's his vision, it's even worse than the theatrical cut because still, when I watched the movie, my reaction was I felt completely broken. it was like what fans had reaction to the Star Wars prequels. I was broken. I was depressed. I didn't want to read any DC comics, and I'm not even trying to be hyperbolic here. I was just really torn down by that film because how absolutely insultingly terrible it was.
It has a long runtime.
Yeah.
Which is why I didn't see it in theaters.
Yeah.
You know what film left me broken? Martyrs. Martyrs fucked me up.
The original.
The original. Oh yeah. If I said the remake, I would have just jumped out the window.
Well, that leaves you broken in a very different kind of way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You were beyond disappointed by that movie. You were depressed.
Yeah. Martyrs not a perfect film, but it is a special horror film, and it deserves to have that place in history as just being really fucked up.
Yeah, I've been trying to watch like a horror movie every night of October. So I try to do kind of more the French extremity stuff, the like Gaspar Noé and High Tension, and but there's some that are just stupid. Like, I mean, this isn't French, but like Eden Lake, like there's a bunch of people on like there's like
I've seen all of those.
It's just
Eden Lake
another
bad.
Yeah, it's even though Michael Fassbender's in it. Then again, not saying everything he does touch, has a touch of gold, but still, it was. Yeah, no. People need to.
Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say there's a lot of people who are like, oh, underrated horror movies you need to see, and because for every single one good one, there's 7 shit ones, and everyone thinks it's saying that's marginally okay or has like a hint of subtext that it's fucking God's gift to cinema or the genre. So
yeah, good horror movies don't come out that often. So when they do come out, people lose their shit. Even when they're like not great. When they're just like barely acceptable to be like, okay, this is a film and not just porn. So yeah, I mean, Eden Lake was dumb. It's a very forgettable film. It's like, what do people see in that? I don't know why that got any kind of credibility at all ever, or why people were like, this is a good movie. Okay, High Tension. I loved that when I was younger, and I would like to see it again as an adult. And I have a Blu-ray. Doesn't make any sense. Not going to spoil it, but like the way they explain things makes 0 sense in that film. It's almost like a Saw movie, except there's only one of them. It's like screws with its own timeline. But I really liked High Tension, like presentation-wise. From the music, like the music added so much to it. Like it was a very tense film that had really good music going into it, and the acting was really great. It was like the genuine tone of like fear and tension presented in that film. And I think that a lot of it's done really well done, but it's also kind of dumb and doesn't make any sense at all.
Not to talk too much, but the thing I enjoy about it is that it does not fuck around. Like 15 minutes in, we're just going. And the pacing is great.
The best kind of horror movies.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. That's what Martyrs doesn't screw around,
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like ding dong.
Boom, Xavier Dolan.
Oh yeah, it's funny that he was in that.
You know what's a good movie to watch around Halloween Day? Trick or Treat.
I was not that impressed by it.
Heresy. Just kidding.
Yeah, it was like very forgettable. Like I'm struggling to remember most of it. I almost just remember my gripes with it more than anything that happened in the film. I remember seeing a lot of the same sets as part of the film. It's like, okay, yeah, this is interesting. You're using the same sets over and over. Different directors or whatever, right? It's kind of forgettable.
A good horror.
I really loved that movie when it came out, though. It was. My friend was like, hey, check this out, it's pretty good. I'm like, okay. I watch it, I'm like, wow. It reminds me of like really great anthology films, like the 2 Creepshow movies, Tales from the Dark Side and Tales from the Hood.
You know what? I feel like there would be a lot of money in just making a decent horror anthology, because those things, like, whenever there's one that's like even decent, like VHS, where not all of them have to be good, but some of them are like pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
Those things blow up, you know. If you were to make one where like every single film in the anthology was like, wait, you know, like awesome, that'd be crazy.
Well, they tried with the Twilight Zone movie, but then fucking John Landis killed 2 kids and the actor, so they were like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, that happened.
The what movies?
Yep. The Twilight Zone movie, directed by John Landis, legendary director.
Mm-hmm. Well, at least it reshaped a lot of reform for safety standards in the film industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like somebody like die on the set of a Resident Evil movie.
Oh yeah, and Deadpool 2.
Yeah, and Deadpool 2. Yeah, I mean, like the 2017 had. I don't know. Like it's there. I forget if I'm just making this shit up or not. But I almost thought I saw a statistic that like more recently in the past like 5 years or something, more stunt people have been injured or killed doing things than the past like 20 years or something. Like I don't know. It seems at least there's been a lot of stories about that kind of thing happening. Like yeah, the new Resident Evil movie, like somebody lost an arm or something, and
Who even went to see that movie?
Somebody died on The Walking Dead too.
Oh yeah. And like, you know, the most insulting part about dying for a movie is like you could die for a Resident Evil movie.
That is pitiful. Oh my god.
Like your death is gonna be because of Paul W.S. Anderson Resident Evil film. That's the worst part about it. That's a nightmare. That's
imagine that
Twilight Zone in of itself.
Can you imagine that shit like a speech at a funeral? We're here today for this man who has died on the set of Paul W.S. Anderson's Resident Evil.
I'm not sure that's how they would phrase it, but
I mean, there's no way you can phrase it. I mean, unless you're on a set
I don't think they would be really. I don't think they would say Paul W.S. Anderson's name or the film title Resident Evil at someone's funeral. I think they would be talking about their life and like appreciating the things that they loved. I think that's more closer to what would happen at a funeral. But
no, that's the one only interesting thing they did. Apparently,
they died on the set of a shitty movie.
Yeah.
I think the big one that started all was not started all, but like kind of brought it back in tension was like Sarah Jones on like Midnight Rider, I think, with the whole train incident. Like that was.
Oh, what happened?
Oh, they were filming. I think they were like unlicensed or whatever for like the area they were filming on like a train trestle, and they had a scene where this woman wakes up on a bed right on the train tracks, and they didn't have any fucking idea when the trains were actually coming, so they just shot it as like an indie film, and then the train literally comes and there's footage of it online. It's kind of blurry, but they quickly got off the bed off the tracks, and right as the train goes by, it hit and ricocheted and hit this I forget, I think she was like a first AD or something, or maybe she's a stunt person, Sarah Jones, like right in the head and killed her. And the film got nixed, and the guy's in jail or prison or something. And
what a shitty idea!
No, I know. There's like footage of it. It's kind of fucked up.
Using a train track that you don't even know is in operation or not, or when it's coming.
Oh yeah.
What the fuck? That's the worst idea.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these other stunt things, I'm like, okay, kind of stupid. Accidents happen. Like everybody feels bad about it. That's just like you're asking for shit. How do you do that? That's a terrible idea.
People are stupid. People are stupid. That's how these things work.
Wow. That's got disaster written all over it. I've always thought, like, you know, if I'm gonna film something like super low budget, like I do pretty guerrilla shit in it, but not
you
that.
Vomit up.
You know,
you make your own vomit, like by pumping. I don't know what you do with how you make.
I
your
could
own
just vomit for real.
I
would write myself.
Yeah, I saw that.
I would write myself into a movie just so I could vomit, and then my character would never be seen again. But people would be like, "Wow, it looks real."
That's fucking nasty.
I want your opinion on something. Something that now, what do you think about? Now I know people are very, like, oh, this is not good. Like killing kids in movies. People seem to be fine with teenagers getting killed off, but you dare, kill that kid, you can burn in hell. What do you think about that?
That's well, I haven't seen the new It movie, but I've heard that some kids die in it.
Georgie does, but
Georgie dies.
Yeah, I have not seen the film yet. And I agree it's stupid, especially because of if you think about the implications of that, you're saying that one life is more valuable than another socially, and as much as like people definitely treat it that way, I don't think it should be treated that way. I think that one person's life shouldn't necessarily be valued over another person's life.
And then there's the time when like a small dog dies or something on a horror film.
Yeah, that's always funny. It's like, I don't know, I would like to feel something when I watch a horror movie, like at the beginning of The Thing with the wolves and shit, I'm like, oh shit, I'm sad. Like it's like genuine terror and fear and like emotion. Whereas like if there were like 5 nameless adult male characters in there, it would just be like, eh. Or even adult female characters, I would just be like, eh. But when it's wolves, it's like, ah, fuck, I'm sad. These doggies. Furry IRL.
Yesterday, I saw The Killing of a Sacred Deer, and that made me feel very uneasy the entire time. And it could be a mix of the food I ate, but I also just puked twice when I got home.
Did you eat spaghetti?
No, it was a burger.
Did you twirl it around with your fork and lift it up and put it in your mouth?
No.
Did you check under your arm and see it's 3 times as much armpit hair as your friends?
How much depth does your watch have? How much depth does your water resistance have?
100 millimeters, I'd say.
Oh, okay. Oh, very nice.
I'm pretty sure I saw Ralph the Movie Maker there too.
Oh yeah.
Wait, funny you're saying about seeing people in the theaters. I went to the one in the ArcLight in Hollywood, and right as the lights are going low, Edgar fucking Wright walked into like 2 rows in front of me. And I didn't think it was him at all, but like I was like, could it be? Because I saw like the blazer he always wears, and then we're walking out.
Where's this?
And sure, it was in Hollywood, so like the ArcLight Cinema. And we just walk out, and sure enough, it was him. And I was like with my friend, and he's just such a huge influence. We love him, and we weren't going to say anything because we didn't want to bother him. So we just kind of not sat there. We walked silently behind him, kind of just like making these like noises, like not knowing what to do. And he was just doing his own thing. But it was weird. It was. I don't know, and I didn't usually get like starstruck, but like he's just such a fucking influence on me.
There's like very few people I like get legitimately starstruck around, but like I was like, because I saw the Q&A thing for Haneke Chan at Toronto Film Fest, and it's like I was just so happy being there. Like I didn't want to ask a question. I didn't want to like. There's other directors I might have just gone up to and just been like, hey, interview, like you want to, hey, I have a channel, like try to get something, but like I just like no. I'm happy I got to be in the same room as him and like hear him talk, and that's all I want. Like I wouldn't want to like embarrass myself in front of him.
Yeah.
So.
I'm happy I got to be in the same chat room as you, Adam.
I know, I feel that way here. I just like freeze up. I don't know what to say.
I thank you. We're all good here.
It's all good.
It would be even cooler if Ralph came in the chat, though.
Yeah.
Ralph Seppi?
Ralph Seppi, as they call him.
Bitch,
Ralph
you
Seppi.
More like Ralph Sappy.
Ralph Pepe.
Yeah, more. Yeah, he's the
Ralph human abortion.
Like Ralph the retard, because he's for dumb little babies.
Wretched Ralph 2.
The dude is like a year younger than me, which is pretty cool, though.
Oh. I don't know how old he is.
He's 20.
Oh. I'm older than that.
You're like 35?
Everybody guess my age. Some of you already know it. If you know it for sure, don't say it.
Oh,
35.
28.
Is that everybody's final answer?
51.
35, yeah.
Sure.
26.
I'm 26.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know I look like an older man, but I've got a long history of drug abuse and alcoholism.
It's gonna be Hey, I can't help but to wonder if Cool Cat was around when you were doing that. Would he have stopped you from doing that?
Doing what? Doing
I don't know.
drugs? Oh, that's funny.
It's
Yeah,
gonna be
sure.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Doing movie reviews.
I would smoke crystal meth with Cool Cat.
Oh my god. And you have Daddy Derek just like joining in with his guitar from Van. Well, I don't know who signed his guitar, and then just having. Actually, no, you don't need drugs for a type of person like Derek Savage. You really don't.
We've had. I'm just gonna go in circles if I start talking about Derek Savage again. It always happens. It always happens, and I just say the same thing.
Actually,
That guy's got history.
I just realized the
Like
way
that part of the stream again.
I just realized the way Cool Cat screams every single line. Maybe he is on meth.
It could be.
Maybe cocaine. I would say cocaine.
I think cocaine is much. No, cocaine is. It feels.
He has to be on an upper of some sort.
Yeah.
Cocaine makes you talk real loud
Yeah.
and not realize it. But
Yeah.
I'm not supporting any kind of drug use, and we're gonna be perfectly honest. I've quit a lot of things, so say no to drugs,
You haven't?
kids, and all you people that are looking up to me as some sort of role model. Don't do it.
What about alcohol?
But you haven't gave up on Cool Cat, our Lord and Savior, Cool Cat.
Yeah, alcohol's a terrible drug, also, but
I can't
there's a lot
drink
of
it.
social pressure to drink alcohol, and not as much social pressure to smoke crystal meth. So.
After
Cool Cat
Breaking
maybe
Bad,
some-
Sorry?
Which,
I don't.
What?
Me?
Who?
Yeah, you.
My name is.
Where's that been cancelled?
Okay, Adam, can I give you a quick guilty pleasure recommendation?
Yes.
So I just saw 1985's Demons, which is a really fun, shitty Italian horror fest.
Dario Argento.
No, it's actually,
Oh.
I think it's Mario Bava's son, Lamberto
What?
Bava. who
His
made it.
name's on. Yeah, Dario Argento presents. is
Oh
on-
yeah. It's kind of like how everyone thinks fucking Tarantino made like True Romance or something like that.
when everybody thought Tarantino made the movie Hero, and I remember, I'll keep this short. I remember seeing TV spots for Hero saying Quentin Tarantino's 5th film. Like, fuck you! It's not, he didn't direct it. He just brought it over. He just plucked it out of Asia and said, "Hey, this belongs in some American theaters, please." Not his 5th film.
But
Anyway.
M. Night Shyamalan made Devil. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's different when you're like,
Jelly Side
he at least produced Devil, right?
Yeah.
But when it's like
Jelly
presents,
Side Down.
like the film was done before you saw it, and you're just saying, "Hey, can we distribute it some more places?" And they're like, "Okay, well, can we put your name on it?" Wink, wink.
Jelly Side Down. The
Yes.
devil's
Is M. Night Shyamalan the name you really want on your movie?
It was at the time.
name.
Yeah.
It was the time.
Do you think? Here's the, well, okay. Devil, I'm assuming, made some money. I don't think it would have if M. Night Shyamalan's name wasn't on it. When you have a trailer for a movie and you're like, oh yeah, like a bunch of people stuck in an elevator and Satan, like the only way people are going to want to watch it is if someone like M. Night's name is on it and people are like, ooh, this could be a psychological kind of horror film. Of course, by that point, people were kind of sick of him, but I don't think it would have made nearly as much money if they didn't have some sort of name on it.
Well, it's kind of like J.J. Abrams in 10 Cloverfield Lane. Like he really just put it.
Yeah,
just
that
up
one-
that movie's
that's
ass and
off,
changed it,
isn't
and
it?
then
Yeah, that's not a JJ movie. That movie's way too talented for JJ.
Well, I mean, he like everything he touched in that film made it worse. It would have been a much better film if he had not
penetrated
gotten
it.
his greasy mitts all over it. Yeah, every like
I don't like
addition
Star Wars
that
7.
he made to
for
the
him.
film is just so much worse. Makes it so much worse because of it. But I liked the film overall. It just would have been so much better if he never touched it. If it was just its own movie and he didn't insist on having that shitty ending that I'm not going to spoil. But if you look up the original script and what the film was supposed to be, you realize that it seems out of place because it was literally thrown into the movie by J.J. Abrams.
I agree. Like, I think everything else is absolutely great. The stuff inside the safe house, the characters, the acting was
Don't
perfect.
spoil it. Don't spoil it.
No,
You're
I'm not
getting
gonna
really
spoil
close
it.
to spoiling things.
But that ending, like, even if you've never seen Cloverfield and don't know what the hell that movie's about, somehow, if you live under a rock or were not old enough during 2008, it just felt out of place. It just didn't feel like, wait, what? Huh?
It was a very it not just out of place, but it even if it was tonally different, there were issues that arise within that last 10 minutes or whatever. There were issues that arise that were not issues earlier in the film. Like there's all of a sudden like that's dumb, that's dumb, that's dumb. And if maybe the whole film had things like that, then that would be fine. But it's like you were creating this whole chunk of issues and annoyances that would not be in the film otherwise, and it pissed me off. I was just gonna ask or get people's I guess advice or opinions on a film that I have not seen, Dario Argento's Suspiria.
That's my username.
Because I'm in a situation right now where I would like to see the film, but the director of I Am Love and his newest film, Call Me by Your Name, Luca Guadagnino, is actually set to direct a remake of Suspiria that comes out 2018. And so I really love his directing, and
You don't want to spoil
I
it.
think that like, well, yeah, I mean, like, I've never seen an Argento film. That's another director where it's like I know who they are, but I haven't taken the plunge yet.
I've seen all of his films.
Same.
Yeah,
He is a great director.
I almost want to not watch Suspiria just because I like Lucha so much.
His name is Lucha. What is he, a fucking wrestler?
He's an Italian.
Oh, I thought he was Mexican.
Well, Luca in Italian. I'm assuming that's Lucha. I'm assuming that's how you say it.
Well, the thing about Suspiria is that you can't, I don't know if it's necessarily a film you can spoil. Like, things happen, but it's very dreamlike in the way, and it's not, there's not necessarily a narrative going on. It's kind of more just like the whole sensory, audiovisual experience. I personally, like, I love Argento. Like, he's one of my favorite directors, even though I don't think I'd give any of his films above, like, a 7, even though I still...
It's just a worthwhile voice, but
exactly.
not like perfection.
And absolutely.
That's what I kind of expected, just based on, like, his IMDb ratings and, how he's making pretty much exclusively horror films.
Right.
I like his Dracula film. Sorry to interrupt you, but I do like his Dracula film now.
No, I just think that Suspiria isn't my favorite. But for me, I think the 3 to watch for entry level are Tenebrae, Suspiria, and Opera. Just kind of get a good feel. The earlier ones are a little messier, but they're interesting. But anyways, I don't know if you necessarily need to see it, but if you're going to see it, try and get the 4K restoration that Synapse Films is releasing. Just you can really get it, because I watched it on
transfer or something.
Time. Yeah. That's my say.
Suspiria Blu-ray 40th anniversary Synapse exclusive 4K remaster, huh?
Hey Adam, I had an issue yesterday. I tried committing suicide, but I couldn't take the cap off.
I knew that's exactly where it was gonna go. So. Next time, you got to get the cap off ahead of time. You just got to
can't get the cap off.
Oh my god, that scene is so fucking golden.
How long is that gag going for?
Oh shit! Sorry. Sorry.
I can't get the cap off.
You just you gotta fight back and leave the nasty messages. You gotta just bite the bullet and type "you're nasty and a bitch" and move on.
Someone hacked me.
Yeah.
Collectors. What? That's a stupid
Wow,
collector.
this looks like a really nice Blu-ray. This Steelbook.
Yeah, I also forgot. Deep Red is his other big one. That's pretty
Deep
cool.
Red. Yeah. All these all the titles you said, they're like super familiar just because I've like looked them up, but without spoiling anything. So.
Robert, did you say you saw Opera?
Yes, I love Opera.
I'm really looking forward to that.
It's messy and it's dumb, but it also has some of his best cinematography.
Oh wow! It's actually coming out December.
Yes.
The Steelbook.
Yeah.
So it's
And,
on pre-order right now, and it's coming exclusively from Synapse Film. Interesting. Okay, cool. I might just pick this one up. Christmas thing. Well, actually, wow, December 31st. Yeah, this would be the way to see it, I guess.
You could get it underneath your Crimbus tree.
Yeah. Only 6,000 produced. It'll be a collector's item. That makes me more interested because I'm a filthy collector boy. Disgusting. I want my Szechuan sauce.
Hey Adam, I want to know your opinion on an actor. What do you think about Sacha Baron Cohen as an actor?
Well, I've talked about him in my Borat Bruno video, and I think that he's a really great character actor, and where I respect him the most is his ability to stay in character under pressure and not laugh in those scenarios in the Ali G show and Borat and Bruno. Like, he's a very, very great improviser, and you can tell like a lot of what gave the film so much comedic value was a lot of it being improvised, and he does it in ways that like are almost mind-boggling. He's very clearly a very talented actor, especially on the spot. Other than that, I'm not sure I could ever say that I've enjoyed anything he's done as a like acting role outside of improvisational things like that. I mean, like, he made a brief appearance in like Sweeney Todd, I guess, and I was kind of excited for him to do that Freddie Mercury biopic, but that's not happening, or it is, but it's going to be very different and not as good. So we'll see what he has in store as an actor from this point forward. But I mean, most of my value, or most of what I valued him doing, was the Borat Bruno Ali G shit. So
I know that Bruno was received really mixed and negative reviews. I thought the movie itself was pretty good.
Negative reviews?
I think it did. I know a lot of people didn't like
Bruno,
it as much as.
It's got like
Bruno.
5 on IMDb.
Oh yeah, it was mixed. I'm not sure if it was negative. Let's see.
I mean,
It was definitely not as well received. Yeah, so it's got 54% on Metacritic. That would be mixed. 68% on Rotten Tomatoes. Although it's a film that came out before these websites were really popular. So that's to be taken into
5.8 on IMDb.
Yeah. So yeah, and I talked about this. Like, you can just watch the video. Like, I talked a lot about the differences between the two films and why audiences might not have liked it as much. And it really, yeah, they're both fantastically written, but one was a much more socially acceptable topic to be satirizing at the time, and one was a little too ahead of its time for people's comfort levels.
Oh, gayness, racial stereotyping. Yes.
Right?
No, I said gay. I made the joke saying that. Oh, it's like racial stereotype. That's funny. Gay stereotype. Oh, you're absolutely offensive, terrible.
You know, I think it was a little bit mixed on both sides of the spectrum, though, because it wasn't just like, oh yeah, there were people that were upset that he was parodying a gay man like that. I think most gay people thought that the film was really funny. I think the majority of the criticism came from people who were disgusted by a lot of the like graphic acts that were shown in the film, and it made them very uncomfortable trying to watch this entire film of this main character who's like extremely gay that wasn't in a way of like, oh haha, I'm so posh, look at me, but it was very like graphically played for laughs, and it had like hilarious sex scenes in it. It had like makeout scenes in it that just made a lot of people uncomfortable, as evidenced by the scene at the end of the film where they go to that MMA thing and people are literally just trying to assault them because they're kissing. That's middle America for you. That's a lot of, we can see that in not just America, but a lot of places in the world. We can see that in current year. That film was made like 10 years ago. Like that film.
It was?
Bruno? Let's see, 2009.
Yeah, Bruno.
So almost
Nice.
10 years ago. 8 years ago is when it was released. And I mean, like, as much as, acceptance of homosexuality or gay marriage or anything has increased over the years, for sure. There's, you can make an argument as to like tolerance, but you're not gonna. There's still a lot of personal, how do I phrase this? Personal apprehension towards consuming any kind of media like that. Like you're not going to convince like most straight people in America to play a gay video game character, right? The closest we've got to that is lesbian characters, because an adult male can project themselves onto a female and go, either that's hot or I relate to her. But in terms of like making a narrative story-driven game where the character is like a gay male in a gay relationship, you're not going to have that. You're not going to have like gay James Bond, like I'm an
Gay
action
Bond.
hero and this is a movie that of a character that just happens to be gay, because as soon as you do that, you're losing a gigantic portion of your market. You'd be losing a huge portion of your market to people who literally just can't relate to a character who's attracted to men. And that's just the world we live in at the moment, and that could change. And I think that in the future we would have something like that. But that's where it is right now. And so for a film like Bruno, a lot of people not liking the movie was literally just because they didn't want to watch a movie about an obnoxiously gay person. They can be like, "Oh yeah, I'm fine with gay characters in a film," but they don't really want to be like, "Oh, graphic." Comedic gay sex acts, or like watching someone make out or something like that, or hearing about him bleach his asshole. A lot of people are just plain disgusted by that. And that's fine, I guess. Like people have their own personal preferences, but that's pretty much why it happened. I remember I was working at Blockbuster, and employees and managers and stuff, like I'd talk about movies, and I remember when I was like, "Oh yeah, I found Bruno funny," and they're like, "Oh no, that wasn't funny at all. It was too gay." Like that was people's general reaction.
That's what they actually said.
People really didn't like the movie being so gay. It wasn't. That's what happened to the film.
In Russia, you wouldn't be
From
able
my
to even
understanding.
pitch such movie.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's just we've still got a long ways to go, but I guess I would also like to stress, like, I don't believe in forcing someone to share an opinion, and I don't believe in forcing someone to accept someone else. But I do believe that, having an honest and open conversation where you're not shouting down at someone and where you can express your opinions is a persuasive way to get more people on your side about an issue, or a persuasive way to have people think more introspectively about their own beliefs and potentially change their own beliefs or their own predispositions or their own biases or gut emotional reactions to things like that. There's a lot of people that literally just have a gut reaction to anything gay, and they're like, I don't want to see two dudes kissing because it makes me sick. It's disgusting. When in reality, it's just like, okay, well, if you didn't build this wall around your life where you were so desensitized to the idea that people of the same gender can kiss, then perhaps you wouldn't feel this way. Like it's a lot of people's insecurities come directly from what they're exposed to in their own lives and what kind of barriers they put up in terms of social expectations and norms and taboos. Things that are very, very like there's cultures where it's considered incredibly offensive to like have something on your head, because it's like that's the closest place to God, or like for your feet to be visible, it's almost like you're naked, right? If you like take a kid's like shoes off and make him stand in front of the class, everybody's gonna like start pointing and laughing at him because it's basically like they've got their fucking pants down in cultures like that. And it's like it's only exists there because we have created this norm. You know, you could call it a social construct if you would like to, even though I think that word has been overused and appropriated in quite a few different ways that would make people uncomfortable to considering the idea that it could be that. But anyway, there was my little rant. Talked forever about that. But
I think it's
Hey, man.
directors. Oh, sorry. You can go.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, hey man, I mean, it's good you rant because you always, every time you have something to say, it's always very astute and interesting.
thank you.
So I was listening. So
Usually when I'm on rant mode, it's because I'm very opinionated about something.
hey, that's cool, man. I mean, you're very intelligent and you're shit. Unlike some other people, but I won't name them off right now.
That's okay. Thank you.
I was going to say that I think it's interesting when directors kind of use that stigma, air quotes, around, the idea of gay sex, and many, straight men especially seeing it as a very penetrating act, aside from like the, the actual physical nature of it. Haha. No, but like you get movies like 1980s Cruising where the director splices death sex scenes with like penises going into butts. Like, and they're literally, it's like, oh, it's so scary. It's like,
oh yeah, that was a very strange film.
Or even
it has one of the best scenes of all time, the interrogation scene.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, I want to review that film just so I can show that scene. Did I show that scene in a movie before?
No.
Or in a review? I meant no. I really want to. It's so funny.
Oh yeah. But even in Irreversible, like the club scene, that's kind of used. I mean, he also does like the high frequency sound thing in the background, but the kind of the very violating way that a lot of people perceive that, and I'm gay, but like that a lot of people are just immediately turned off and afraid of that because it's so alien to them.
Yeah, it is. I mean, what a lot of fear in society comes from the unknown, right? A lot of prejudice comes from people not really understanding each other. And if you look statistically about any group of people, and whether or not they are perceived as a negative force in society by the average person, generally the trends go, if somebody doesn't know that many gay people in their life, they're probably going to have a more negative view of gay people. But if somebody knows a lot of gay people personally, or has somebody in their family who is gay and open about it, then you'll notice the trends going down in terms of apprehension towards a lifestyle or anything like that. So I think a lot of it is just people not understanding something, and then the human mind creates these fictions of ideas to try and explain something without them understanding it. Like when you have to make assumptions about a group of people because you don't really know.
Stereotyping?
And a lot of those, yeah, you could say stereotyping or prejudice. And a lot of those wind up turning into like a what if worst possible scenario kind of like fear of the unknown kind of case, like a very precautionary kind of generalization of a group of people is what tends to happen when people don't really know.
And then that's turned into indoctrination, and then basically, taught and recycle, repeat.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mentioned this in one of my festival quickies. I think "Call Me by Your Name." Like there's stuff that kind of goes in the other direction too. Like beats per minute was like you didn't need to fucking have a porn scene in your movie, basically. Like it didn't need to be there. And if you want to get more people that are like on the fence about it, if you want to get somebody who's like I would be open to seeing gay characters in a film, but it still makes me uncomfortable. The last thing you want to do is just be like, oh yeah, look at their butt sex right now. Isn't this hot? But it's like, who is this for? Are you just limiting your audience just to gay people? I always find that so strange.
Yeah, you should be more subtle, like Death Race 2.
Mm.
Oh god, I was just gonna mention that. I was just gonna then you have like Death Race 2. Which
Hold on.
On
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
which on the surface looks like, like your typical, like it has an audience obviously trying to appeal to guys. It seems like it's very macho and testosterone heavy, but you actually break it down. It's actually more homoerotic. You see, what's the actor? What's the main actor in that movie? I forgot his name.
Luke Goss.
Yeah, that guy.
Pretty boy.
Yeah. Then you have the director pretty much like almost every scene when he's not racing. You have him shirtless, taking a shower shirtless.
He
loves him. I remember in your review for Death Race. I remember your review of Death Race 3. He said, "Oh, we should put in the cat fight," and then you caught him having a sigh like, "Can't get more Luke Goss. I have to show some women." I'm like, it's
the guy
hilarious.
he wants to fuck. He wants to fuck him, definitely. Guaranteed. Rule Renee wants to fuck Luke Goss.
Yeah, he wants that Goss in his Oz.
Mm-mm.
That was terrible.
Was it as gay as A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge?
That's exactly.
God, I hate that movie so much. Not because it's gay, but because I don't hate it because it's homoerotic. Honestly, that's pretty funny because it's unintentional. But
actually,
who knows how unintentional
the screenwriter was actually gay, and there's a documentary being made, like I think on Indiegogo right now.
Oh yeah,
about it. How there was kind of very intentional ways to kind of get some themes, and like there's even part of the production design. There's a board game that says "probe" in the guy's closet, in his bedroom.
Oh.
So like there's some I don't know, there's some stuff going on with underneath its shitty 80s demeanor.
I really don't buy it being unintentional. You don't write such a dialogue without fully realizing it.
Yeah.
Whether it was intentional or not, it still is bullshit, that movie. It has nothing to do with the previous one, and the characters are less interesting. The kills are not very memorable. The only thing I remember in that movie was that weird ass image with the baby on a dog's head, or so. Fuck, I don't even know what I remember. It's very vague.
Which is taken from Invasion of the Body Snatchers, actually, that whole concept.
I mean, I refuse to watch the Nightmare on Elm Street sequels just because I really liked the first one, and I've heard nothing but bad things about them.
No, there's
a pretty funny one.
You really gotta watch part 6. There's a part where like halfway through the movie,
oh my god,
the main character puts on red and cyan 3D glasses before going into the dream world, because the rest of the film was made to be in 3D, and so that was literally the cue for the audience to put on their 3D glasses was the main character of the film putting on 3D glasses in the film. In the actual universe.
Nightmare on Elm Street meets fucking Spy Kids 3.
It was so funny.
Was he wearing the glasses while
the same? My favorite moment in Freddy's Dead, the Final Nightmare, is Power Glove Freddy. The entire sequence of the game, and it is absolutely hilarious. And I say, like, if you're only gonna watch select sequels, to say watch Dream Warriors. Maybe watch part 4, but definitely watch New Nightmare. It's not really a Nightmare sequel. It's more of
I like New Nightmare from what I remember.
I really love that movie. I've seen it. At first,
I'm sure it wouldn't be like an amazing film as an adult, but I loved it when I was like a teenager.
I mean, it's not perfect, but for what it does with the concept, it works really well. And
it was interesting.
I do like that they kind of go back to the roots of the original.
Yeah, it was really meta. It was something that I didn't expect for like a 90s slasher movie.
It was ahead of its time.
It was an interesting concept. It was
That's
very strange. It was like, yeah. Now you see that done like a bit more commonly, but that was a very strange and interesting concept for the time.
Yeah.
Which year it came out? New Nightmare.
What?
Which year did
I think it was 94.
It was 94.
Yeah, it was 94.
Pretty ahead of a curve.
Best year for film, kind of.
No, 10th anniversary, excuse me, not 20th. Shit. keep thinking.
I think about Wes Anderson is that like, not Wes Anderson. Wow, fuck me. Wes Craven. Too many Wes's. Wes Craven is that his movies, like the concepts are always there, and he always has some cool stuff going on. It's just the execution kind of bogs it down. But like,
oh yeah, he was definitely like the Stephen King of directors for horror.
Yeah. That's exactly.
That's a good way to put it.
But like the one where they kind of come together a bit is The People Under the Stairs is kind of fucking great. It's a really fun guilty pleasure.
I haven't seen that one.
I would recommend
I've seen
it.
Bits of it.
It's a really fun, weird time.
I remember I watched Pet Sematary because like I was like, I remember when I was really young, there would be these friends that were like, "Oh, Pet Sematary, it's so scary," and then I watched it by myself. Like when I was 13, I put on like the DVD or whatever, or the VHS, and I was just like, it's not scary at all. There was like a really bad talking cat or something. That's all I remember. It was like, ooh.
Yeah. I remember just walking in on someone watching that, and I'm like, what the fuck is this garbage? Why is there like a baby?
It was poorly made. It was bad.
A little baby.
That's Wes Craven, right? Is that Pet Sematary?
Oh no, that's actually directed by a woman. I forget her name. But that wasn't him. I don't think.
Was it a Stephen King story?
Yeah, it's a Stephen King.
Okay, that's why I'm thinking of it then.
Well, Adam, at least for you, people say it was scary. At least it wasn't traumatizing for you as Ghost Riders was.
Ghost Rider.
Spirit of Vengeance.
Ghost Rider?
Spirit of Vengeance.
The gooey
Spirit
Gus
of Savini.
from my
That's what it's called.
childhood drama video.
You laughing at me?
I'm just so happy I got to make a video about that because that's like easily the most like traumatizing thing that I watched as a kid, and I'm glad that I could like analyze why this happened in a constructive way.
I almost laughed out loud when you show like, okay, it must be something that's like, oh, this must be that's really kind of scary. I'm like, wow, this is scary. Even as a kid, I wouldn't find it scary. This is silly and dumb.
For the
you found it scary. I mean, when then you told me like, and then you mentioned that in the video that the makeup and the creature design was done by the legendary Tom Savini.
Yeah,
and I'm like, wow. That's pretty cool. I mean, I'm glad that you like, hey Tom, we need you to make something that's scary for this really kids show we're doing. Okay, but not too scary. Just something that's a little threatening. Okay, I'll do that. Here's your big gooey slime monster with a bunch of disoriented eyes, and that can that can bleed into everything.
Yeah, it's so strange, this anomaly of an episode, because like it just you'd almost wonder why how this happened with a team of people and no one thinking like, wait a minute, what kind of show are we again? Like, what are we doing here?
I feel like a Goosebumps episode.
Evil Dead.
Sorry?
Did he do the effects on Evil Dead?
Tom Savini? I don't think so.
No, he didn't.
No, like Evil Dead was such a low budget, small team of people. He did effects on like some what is his name?
George A. Romero.
Yes, George A. Romero. A lot of George A. Romero movies like Dawn of the Dead.
Day of the Dead.
And yeah.
He did Maniac and
a bunch of
Part 4.
slasher shit. Yeah. Bunch of cameo appearances too.
Oh yeah, I just saw From Dusk Till Dawn for the first time, and he's hamming it up. But, exactly, sex machine.
Revolver.
The vampire's whispering "sex machine" when he's transforming, and I think that's
what a strange movie.
It's kind of hilarious.
What was
From Dusk Till Dawn?
Let's not spoil too much about it.
Sorry,
no, don't worry. I don't think you've spoiled enough, but it's From Dusk Till Dawn, which is a collaborative effort between Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez. Just watch it and don't even look anything up about it. Just watch the first one, and it is kind of a trip. It is such a strange movie to not have any expectations of what's going to happen or anything. Just watch it. It's very strange.
I wish I knew nothing before I saw it. That's all.
Oh, that was me. I was like, what the fuck?
Same here. I was 13 years old.
It was so strange.
I was 13 years old, and I was, getting into film criticism, and I was like, oh, Quentin Tarantino, I'm like, I like a lot of his movies. And so I watched it. I was like, okay, this is a really good movie. It's, and then
don't say it.
I'm not gonna say it. And then as the film went, I'm like, what is this? This is weird. okay, I'll go along with it.
Yeah.
Oh, I kind of love that movie.
You
It
kind
was
of have
really
to understand the tones of what is happening and be
Oh,
okay with the variance.
yeah.
I just tried to
And the acceptance.
find it on Netflix, and for some reason I got like
It is a movie that you have to accept for what it is.
At least it wasn't as. At least it wasn't as. I mean, at least that movie was. It was strange and weird, but it was good. Recently there was this film that I think this one came out called Suburbicon. It's fucking terrible.
Oh yeah,
really-
nobody likes that. It's got a worse critical score than Jigsaw, which is funny. I love how George Clooney keeps trying to be a director.
Yeah, he's not a director.
He's I don't know. He's fine as a director. He's probably more credible than James Franco or Ryan Gosling or a lot of actor directors out there. But it seems like he just doesn't have the best ideas. He supposedly just butchered a Charlie Kaufman script.
Wasn't James Franco involved in Sausage Party's writing or some shit?
I don't know. I'm just talking about him as a director. Let's see. George Clooney. What was Leatherheads again? Fuck.
Oh, that was the weird rugby movie.
Good Night and Good Luck was watchable. Oh yeah, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. Apparently Charlie Kaufman and himself and George Clooney had many creative differences on this film, and apparently there was a much better screenplay before George Clooney had his way with it.
Do you hear about Simon Pegg?
What? Run Fat Boy Run or whatever.
He wrote a script, I think, one day, years ago, for a sequel to Shaun of the Dead called From Dusk Till Shaun.
That sounds great.
Yeah,
I'd see that based on the title alone.
I've never seen From Dusk Till Dawn, so I think it's on Netflix, and I watch it.
That just makes me want to. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I remember
Shaun
when I
of the Dead
first
sequel
watched
From Dusk Till Shaun.
From Dusk Till Dawn, was 8 years old, and I completely forgot about the first part of the movie. And when I watched it years later, I what? Quentin Tarantino, isn't it?
It seems...
can't remember. But I was really entertained, by the later half.
It's without spoiling it, it seems like half of the movie is a Quentin Tarantino film, and half of the movie is a Robert Rodriguez film. It legitimately just seems like that.
Whoa.
And it's one of the better of the horrible, shitty Tarantino cameo performances, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm never upset by his cameo performances.
I don't. Yeah, fine. I kind of exaggerated. There's always kind of just a little. The Australian and Django pushed it. Is all I'll say.
Yeah, I watched Django once, and I'll probably never see it again. It was all right.
Shut up, Black.
It was just it wasn't anything special. Django just felt like the pinnacle of Quentin Tarantino trying to be Quentin Tarantino and just hitting the beats.
Have you seen
it? It's like he just pumped out his own factory product. Sorry, have I seen what?
Oh, sorry.
Go for it.
The Hateful Eight?
Yes, and I'll explain my thoughts on it right after who was talking. That
hi, Mark.
Me.
Yes.
Yeah, that was me. What I wanted to say about Django Unchained is, I'm really on the opposite end with you. When I watched it, I didn't know what to expect. I only saw one trailer of it just once, and I'm like, oh, it's Quentin Tarantino. It's a Western. Okay, this is different. He's done Western before, pseudo Western like Kill Bill 2, but nothing like a full blown spaghetti Western. And I'm really into that subgenre of Western. It's what made me appreciate the genre in the first place entirely. But anyways, I saw Django. I'm like, wow, this movie's awesome. And I really fell in love with it. And I've seen it lots of times, and it's my favorite Tarantino movie. But I thought Hateful Eight was pretty great, though. Not as good as Django. It's like Clue.
I was gonna say I love The Hateful Eight. I consider The Hateful Eight to be like his best film since at least The Inglourious Bastards, but perhaps I enjoy it even more.
Well, ain't no easy grab. They got tea.
Yeah, I almost wonder what it would be like for Django to have Will Smith like it was supposed to.
Yeah, that'd be so weird.
What did Will Smith do instead? Like he dropped out of Django?
Afterlife.
After Earth?
After Earth.
He's like, sorry, Quentin, I'm busy killing my career.
Did he not like? So he turned down The Matrix for, was it Wild Wild West?
Oh, that's funny.
It's amazing.
Yeah, wow.
I'd rather go to the afterlife than watch After Earth.
Bazinga.
Welcome to Earth.
Yes.
Welcome to Earth.
The Ursa.
There we go.
What a golden film.
The fucking movie.
There was just so much to work with when I made that review. There was a gold mine of promotional footage at my disposal that just made that review so special.
Oddly enough, I showed the YMS After Earth to my dad, and when he saw the Will Smith interview about Moby Dick, he got really, really fucking pissed off at Will Smith. Yeah, because he said that Will Smith in the interview was saying that Moby Dick is about whaling and destroying the earth, and my dad is like, it's about friendship, you fucker!
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan, one of the greatest science fiction movies ever made, handled this better about Moby Dick. Even you have Khan pretty much reciting from Moby Dick. That was great. That's how you do Moby Dick, not After Earth. Oh, I said Afterlife. I'd rather go to the Afterlife than watch After Earth again. And then you have, like, in that movie, it's, Will Smith is pretty much sitting out looking like having a constipated face while we see Jaden Smith acting, trying to search for his Toblerone.
Yeah. Was that a Neo Yokio reference?
Yes, it was. That is one of the greatest TV shows of all time. That show is so bad, it's good material. It is.
No.
Adam, you need to review it.
To watch
you have to review it. You have to review it. I will sell my organs so you can review that. I'm dead serious. No, I should have sell my organs.
Maybe. I gotta piss. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Oh, man, you gotta piss.
What was it again?
Neo Yokio.
Neo Yokio. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's the one starring Jaden Smith in a quote unquote anime as a quote unquote.
Snacks are ready.
Yeah.
I am not a coward.
Hey, I have to go. Snacks are ready. That show is mean gold. The thing about that show is it feels like an abridged series. But it feels like an abridged series to an actual series, but it is the abridged series. It's so awkward, and the voice acting is atrocious. The dialogue is it ranges from being very clunky, awkward, to downright laughable.
I'm not gonna go to the fact they managed to get Steve Buscemi on that. And
I don't know how. Maybe they found him on, like, hey Steve, you want to do some voice acting? It's only gonna take 30 minutes. Okay, how much do I get paid for? Here, this is your check. Okay, that's adequate enough to pay my water bill.
Have any of you seen the Jaden Smith Batman music video?
Oh God, don't bring that. Oh God,
he starts doing math on a whiteboard, and then he drives around like Batman while swirling water ice cubes in a circle.
Are we talking about Batman v Superman?
No, we're talking about
Batman X Jaden Smith.
Yeah, Batman X Jaden Smith.
Oh no, I saw that. Bad.
Ew, that was bad.
What music video?
So I follow his Twitter account, obviously.
It's cringy.
He just keeps trying to legitimize himself as a rapper, like as a legitimate musician, and he's He has no idea what kind of a fucking bubble he's in. It's so sad.
He's
And I feel
adorable.
bad for like not just Will Smith raising his child this way, but I feel bad that he's literally going to spend his entire life not even knowing who his real friends are, because like everybody around him is just going to be like, "Oh yeah, great, thanks," and like trying to please him at any given moment just for the off chance hope that he'll retweet them someday, you know? And it's just like, ooh, it makes me uncomfortable. I don't like the bubble that he's in.
Will Smith, Jaden Smith is the definition of everything be handed to him on a silver platter. But he doesn't have anything to give to the world other than pure meme material. That's all he's given us is meme material. You have
no dad.
Sorry,
no dad.
He was
I'm not a coward. I'm not a coward.
Hey,
I'm not a coward.
Yeah. I'm not a coward. He just yells at the script like, "Are you yelling at the audience? Is this getting meta?" I mean, you mean
that was supposed to be like the Oscar scene.
Yeah,
that was like the I'm showing off my acting talent scene
by chewing scenery in all the wrong ways.
Oh, you want an Oscar? Denied.
Denied. Sit down.
Sit down.
Well,
Denied.
they had a nomination for most athletic
Cypher
run,
Rage.
right?
Cypher Rage.
Maybe.
Cypher Rage.
That name.
What the fuck? It sounds something like a
3 Razzies, including worst screen combo.
Good.
Oh, not bad.
Cypher Rage Against the Machine.
Cypher Rage.
Hey, Adam.
That's me.
I have a question. I have a video game question.
Yes.
Has anyone recommended to you Lakeview Cabin Collection by chance?
No idea what that is.
Really? Oh, well, basically, it's. Has anyone else here heard of it?
No.
Well,
okay. Basically, it's a game that recreates the experience of like a 70s or 80s slasher horror film.
Lakeview Cabin Creation. What do you call it?
Lakeview Cabin Collection.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know how to paste it. Yeah, Lakeview is one word.
On Steam.
Yes, on Steam.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And there's a lot of very dark humor, a lot of emergent elements of gameplay, and this struck me as something that you would particularly enjoy. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll keep this tab open, and it's fucking $2.74 right now. So.
Yeah.
Hey Adam.
Cool.
Yes.
Are you still too gay to lift?
Yes. I'm just genuinely waiting for Twitter to verify that I am in fact too gay to lift.
How do you verify that?
We need to start a change.org petition to get Twitter to verify that I am in fact too gay to lift.
What was the hacker thing? Did they really think that was going to be like an insult? Like, I don't understand.
What?
That the Twitter name changed to too gay to lift.
What about it, though?
Like, was that intended? Was that supposed to be intended as an insult to you? Wasn't it like it was a result of a hacker?
It's no. Oh no. That
It's
was
from Cyberbully.
It's a reference to cyberbully.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Yeah. When he doesn't actually say too gay to lift, but he does. Like it was supposed to be too gay to live, but you can definitely hear him say like accidentally add like a T at the end. Too gay to lift, and they just kept the take. But it's like, yeah.
Oh wow!
Like the movie was made like before the "Do you even lift, bro" meme. So there's no way that's what they were trying to say, but it's funny to me.
That makes the context of the line right after a little more fucked up because she's like, "Oh, but you are gay."
Happy
Oh
birthday!
yeah.
It's like is she saying that he's too gay to live?
Yeah, she's like, "But you really are gay. What they're saying about me isn't true."
Oh my god! What a bitch!
This is off topic, but there's something that's been aching me at the back of my cranium, and that is somehow Happy Death Day has moderate reviews, I don't understand. It's a piece of garbage movie. Why does that thing
It's
have
so
any positivity behind it? It should get like a 0% for stupid.
I
And
think
it's terrible.
No, I think it's because it's HIV positive.
Isn't it also kind of like so bad it's good kind of thing?
Just that one.
It's not a movie that tries to be like 100% serious. Like there's comedic elements to it, and
It tries
it
to
would
be
have been
smart.
nice to have that. It would have been nice to have like a jokey horror comedy sort of thing, like fucking.
I want to point out both the critic rating and the audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes is 69.
I mean,
Nice.
the biggest issue with Happy Death Day is that it's fucking lazy.
Yeah,
It's a lazy movie, and it's like even if you're trying to go for some like comedic elements, you just took the laziest approach to every single aspect of the film. Like nothing about it shows any semblance of like talent or planning or passion in film or writing or anything. Like there's nothing about it. You could have. It would have been nice to have like a decent horror comedy kind of parody film, like Tucker and Dale versus Evil or Cabin in the Woods or something like that. Like those are examples of like well-made parody films, But
and it has Alan Tudyk. That's a plus. Your movie has Alan Tudyk. It's gonna most likely be really good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the other plus, I think it was making more money than Blade Runner 2049.
That's
which is not solely because of the film itself, but because of the marketing.
Yeah.
Happy Death Day would not have made any money if it did not pump its fucking trailer before every YouTube video. Like, I was out doing film festival stuff, so I was out at a lot of restaurants between films or whatever. Like, every single TV in a bar would always have Happy Death Day trailers, like every commercial break, like 5 times. They spent a shit ton of money on advertising for that movie, and it really worked. It paid off. People saw it. Whereas Blade Runner 2049, it's like, okay, Sony, so you're gonna spend that much on the budget, but you're not gonna pump it out advertising wise. Like you're not gonna put a bunch of ads for this movie. Like why? Why didn't you do that, Sony?
That 50 Cent song it promised.
I'm not surprised that Blade Runner bombed. I mean, it's unfortunate. I really do want to see more.
I don't know if it
films
actually
like
bombed, but
It did pretty well worldwide.
it didn't bomb. It just didn't. It wasn't a hit.
Did it break even? At least
I believe so.
I don't know.
You check Box Office Mojo.
But
And apparently, apparently it either hasn't gotten released in China yet, or it just got released in China. Like apparently, the Chinese release was like delayed.
149 million.
Didn't the China market complain about the fact that there was something about robots or something because they're so used to schlock like Transformers 5, which, for the record, I think it bombed here in America, but it did well overseas, which is good. America has some glimmer. We didn't see a shitty Transformers movie.
Yeah, you know what? America's a special kind of stupid.
Yeah, we're a special kind of stupid. We are a special kind
If you
of
look
stupid.
at box office results, like usually the better, more interesting, or like intellectually challenging, or better, more well-made films will have a higher worldwide box office and a lower domestic American box office. And then just the shittiest films you'll ever see will be like nothing worldwide because nobody outside of America would watch it, but just tons of fucking money in the domestic box office. Like Heaven is for Real and like God's Not Dead and like
Medea.
Yeah, all the Medea movies, like all these like pieces of garbage that are literally just for America and America only. It's very strange just looking from the outside, and I hope America one day realizes just how much of a reality TV show they are.
We made Geostorm bombed. We made The Mummy bombed. We made King Arthur bombed. We made Transformers bombed. We made Blade Runner bombed, unfortunately.
Yeah, according
But
to...
I can see why Blade Runner
Why would The Mummy bomb? It was so good. I bought my own copy.
Oh, that was bad. It
was really funny.
No, unsurprisingly,
that was in the movie.
Oh no, the IMAX trailer with the audio.
Oh my god, the IMAX was.
I wish
was
the whole
so
movie was
golden.
like that.
Yeah, I same here. If it was anything but Tom Cruise having that weird ass scream that became a meme for a few months, oh my god, the movie would have been so much better. But no, when it said there was a little bit of it when he was about to get run over, I think, and then you have the mummy going like pretty much going on him. I'm like, there was a scream like, It doesn't match Tom Cruise's magical scream, so that's the best I can do.
I legitimately, I shit you not, I was convinced that the first 20 minutes or so of the movie, like the first 10 to 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, let's say, the entire opening scene and then some, I was convinced that they were going to like pull back from like a movie set in the film and that Tom Cruise's character was an actor. And then the real movie will happen. You know, like the Austin Powers fake away or whatever, where it's like, oh yeah, this whole first part of the movie didn't actually happen. He's on a movie set, and that's why it was so ridiculous. And now here's the real movie. I was convinced that would be the case, and it never happened. And I was waiting for a long time. Even when like the female lead showed up, I'm like, oh yeah, no fucking way that any of this is supposed to be taken like it's actually happening. And it never happened. I was shocked. I was shocked. That was the most like comically unrealistic and borderline irresponsible portrayal of Middle Eastern conflict I've ever seen in a film. They ran around like they were shooting fucking Nerf guns. They played it like, haha, here we go. We're off to go into this little town where ISIS is. Like, hey, let's just boop boop boop, ha ha ha. They're like, they don't even care if they're gonna get shot. They're literally just running around while shit's clearly getting shot behind them. I'm like, this has to be a movie set. There's no way that they're expecting that I'm supposed to be taking this as what's really happening in the film, and then it's happened anyway. That was ridiculous. It was a very entertaining film.
I didn't see that, but I did see the Karloff one, just for no reason.
Did you see Gods of Egypt?
Oh yeah, I got that one on 3D Blu-ray.
That is such a wonderful little film because the amount of bad decisions in that movie, but it's so bad it's good. I mean, I've read one review. I've read one review
when I saw it.
that one review said this. It perfectly summed up my thoughts on the movie. It's like, this is a movie that is not meant to be despised. This is a movie that is meant to be enjoyed by those who enjoy so bad it's good medium in quotes. That's what that's pretty much the quote. It was absolutely hilarious, and it is. It's so bad it's good. You have Gerard Butler in orange face. You have terrible fight scenes. You have the final climax, which looks like a CGI video game. There is so much plot and crap in that movie. It's an absolute clusterfuck, but it's a beautiful clusterfuck of a movie.
Did anybody catch when the director got really pissed off that nobody liked his movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
when like the reviews were coming out, he's like, "Oh, these fucking online critics, you're not real."
Your movie's
I don't even
not
remember
real.
what he said. Let's look this up. Gods of Egypt.
Yeah, let's look it up.
Oh God.
Director.
Yeah.
Rant.
but while you guys looking up Gods of Egypt director stuff, I want to kind of throw my hat. I want to kind of give my 2 cents about why I think Blade Runner didn't do so well. I think why is because nobody asked for it. Yes, it was great. We can all agree on that for those who've seen it. But it's a film that nobody asked for. It's not a film that the original Blade Runner, even though it is a very popular movie, it's also pretty niche. It's not for everybody. I know even people who like cerebral films don't even like Blade Runner. So it's a film that doesn't have a huge wide appeal like say Star Wars or Indiana Jones.
Didn't the original
every time
Sorry, I was going to change the topic back to Gods of Egypt, but you can add to this.
So just to wrap it up, I think it's just because nobody wanted to see it, and it's a film that's never really appealed to everybody. So there you go.
Yeah, could I also say, do you need to watch the original to get the new one?
There's things about the new one that are better if you have seen the original, but it isn't something where you'd be left completely lost. Like there's things that you could infer of being like, oh, so this must have happened either in or after the original before this point. There's things that you would infer, but it's not like, oh, you don't need to see the original to get the new Blade Runner. So this is the rant that director. Let's just first see what else he's done.
Here we go.
Gods of Egypt. Because he's had some successes before, I think, but never directed anything that's like actually good. Let's see what he's done. Alex Proyas. So he directed Dark City. A lot of people love Dark City.
Great movie.
He directed The Crow. He directed I, Robot.
Dumb movie.
He directed 2009's Knowing, starring Nicolas Cage.
Oh, that was bad.
Yeah. So this guy, and shortly after his film is released in theaters and no one's watching it, none of it's not making any money at all, goes to Facebook and does this like 4-paragraph long rant that I guess I'll just read out some of it. Nothing confirms, all caps by the way, nothing confirms the rampant stupidity of mankind. Like reading reviews of my own movies, I usually try to avoid the experience, but this one takes the cake. Often, to my great amusement, a critic will mention my past films in glowing terms, when at the time those same films were savaged as if to highlight the critic's flawed belief of my descent into mediocrity. You see, my dear fellow Facebookers, I have never gotten great reviews on any movie I've
Facebookers.
Hello, fellow kid.
I'm just reading what he wrote.
Jesus.
Apart from those by reviewers who think for themselves and make up their own opinions. Oh, I love that argument when like people collectively like or don't like something, and then it's like, oh yeah, you're just following the herd. Anybody with a real opinion is taking the contrarian opinion, and anybody who doesn't have a real opinion. Okay. Sadly, those type of reviewers are nearly all dead. I guess I have the knack of rubbing reviewers the wrong way. Always have.
Okay.
Second paragraph out of.
Okay.
Oh no, it's not over yet.
This time, of course, they have bigger axes to grind. They can rip into my movie while trying to make their mainly pale asses look so politically correct by screaming whitewash. Yeah, that was a controversy. Apparently.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I've said about whitewashing. This director seems to think that that's the only reason why his film wasn't successful. Like the deranged idiots they all are, they fail to understand or choose to pretend not to understand what this movie is, as to serve some bizarre consensus of opinion which has nothing to do with the movie at all. That's okay. This modern age of texting has rendered them less than worthless, so they will probably go the way of the dinosaur or the newspaper shortly. I guess he doesn't understand that, like, internet reviews are a thing. But don't moviegoers text their friends with what they thought of a movie? Seems most critics spend their time trying to work out what most people will want to hear. How do you do that? Why these days is it so easy? Just surf the net to read other reviews or what bloggers are saying, no matter how misguided an opinion of a movie might be before it actually comes out. Paragraph 3 out of 4.
Oh God! Here we go.
Lock a critic in a room with a movie no one else has seen, and they will not know what to make of it. Because contrary to what a critic should probably be, they have no personal taste or opinion, because they are basing their values on the status quo.
What?
None of them are brave enough to say, well, I like it, if it goes against consensus. Therefore, they are less than worthless. Now that anyone can post their opinion about anything, from a movie to a pair of shoes to a hamburger, what value do they have? Nothing. Final paragraph. Roger Ebert wasn't bad. He was a true film lover, at least, a failed filmmaker, which gave him a great deal of insight. His passion for film was contagious, and he shared this with his fans. He loved films, and his contribution of cinema was as a result was positive. Now we have a pack of diseased diseased vultures pecking at the bones of a dying carcass, trying to peck the rhythm of the consensus. I applaud any filmgoer who values their own opinion enough not to base it on what the pack mentality say is good or bad. So not everything he said was like crazy, but it's starting with a fallacy, right? It's starting with like the presumption that people only don't like your movie because other like the first person said it was bad, and then everybody else from that point forward was just like, I have to say what they're saying. Like, you're not judging my film individually, you're just believing the other guys. It's like, no, I think a lot of people are watching it for themselves and not liking it.
Yeah.
I think
How
a lot of
could
people
the critics be real if our eyes not?
Sorry?
How could the critics be real if our eyes not?
This is true. This is true.
Didn't Dwayne Johnson say the same thing about Baywatch? Wasn't he going on about it?
Yeah! That was funny. Don't listen to the critics, listen to the fans.
Pissing in your
This vultures.
So you're okay with you're with information to persuade other people as long as it's the information that you agree with. Okay. Don't listen to the critics, listen to the fans. Okay. Because the fans have my opinion and the critics don't have my opinion.
Here's the thing about me and Baywatch for that movie, my expectations. I thought, when I saw it, I'm like, wow, this looks kind of fun. This could be like a fun, dumb movie, kind of like 21 Jump Street. You know, they play completely straight, but they're tongue in cheek about it. The movie came out, and I'm like, this is not good. The jokes are not very funny. The only thing I can say about this movie is I like The Rock and Zac Efron. I think their performances are good, but you know, everything else, like it felt really misguided because, you know, okay, the movie when I heard it was rated R, I was excited for it when it was Baywatch. I'm like, you have Alexander Daddario in there. You have the opportunity to give the audience some of them Daddario titties. You didn't take advantage of that. It felt like a PG-13 movie. Just add some few F-bombs and a really shitty morgue dick joke. That was horrible. Sad. And it's like...
If you're not even going to make like a decent R-rated film, then why even...
It seems like something a good R-rated film. It's more about big jokes.
That's the thing is like why not just make it PG-13 at that point? Like you're gonna pretend like Baywatch doesn't just exist to make money. Mm-hmm. Like you're gonna pretend like somebody had like a passionate idea that they wanted to present to a film-going audience. No,
there was not a single nipple in that movie for females. There was no boobies. There's none of that,
and that's what counts.
Was there a purge?
Yeah, it's Baywatch. I want to see some Daddario titties or something, goddammit. But no, we don't even get that. We just get a dead dick. Fuck's sake.
Dead dick?
No, I'm serious.
A dead dick.
I would watch that.
I'm serious. It's in the fucking movie. Like, there's a point in the film's plot, I'm using quotations here, where one of the guys was killed up by this gangster lady, whatever, and they have to go to the morgue. And like since in the morgue they pretty much have to try to dig in or something, I don't remember, and it pretty much you see his dead dick, and I'm like, it was absolutely horrible. I'm like, wait, are they? Do they know what this is for? Do they know their own audience? It went to the point where they just didn't know what audience, what type of movie it wanted to be, what audience it was trying to go for. It became lost. And it was terrible. And the CGI is absolutely horrendous. No practical explosions. The action scenes ranged from average to really mediocre. And there was a couple of jokes I found funny, but that was it. And it was just a really bad movie. Not the worst I've seen all summer. That goes to Alien Covenant or Transformers 5.
Nice.
But not Baywatch. That's just it's just a bad movie, but not the one I would say worst movie material of the year. So.
When you said dead dick, it reminded me of something that I'd kind of like to bring back into the conversation we were having earlier about like the average, especially American audience goer has, or the apprehension that an average audience goer would have towards like male on male sexuality or anything like that. I specifically remember watching Watchmen in the theaters, and like,
oh yeah,
You know, when the what's his name, the big blue boy,
Dr. Manhattan.
Dr. Manhattan. When Dr. Manhattan, like, you see his dick, but it's not like a close up or anything. It's just like it's there. It's not like erect, you know. It's like flash. It's just it's a dick. It's literally there, and it's like for the story, it's like, yeah, he's naked. He's like he's transcended, you know, clothes. And my theater experience, just like a bunch of dudes in the audience going like, oh, and some girls like, ah, like, and laughing.
Wait. The girls did that. Not, I understand the guys, but the girls, are you serious?
Some girls do that. Some girls, like, honestly, from
makes no sense to
my
me.
best interpretation as a gay male, there's a lot of girls out there that find dicks gross. I've seen a lot of girls that say that. Yeah, fucking Anna Kasparian went on TYT and was just like, yeah, penises are gross. It's like, well, you're straight, but okay. Like,
wait, what?
You just think that a part of the human body is gross, but whatever.
So she's
like,
a virgin then, I guess?
No, she's not. It's not like a virgin. Like, there's dudes that think that vaginas are gross, but they'll fuck it. Anyway, I was just kind of bringing it back into the point of just like, I remember asking my friends, or like telling my friends about the theater experience that I had, and just people going like, ugh, like as though they were offended by what they saw on screen, even though it wasn't like gratuitous and it wasn't like sexualized or anything. It was just literally there, like a chair in the room. Like it could be a chair, you know. And every single one of my friends had that same experience where in their separate theater showing, and this is even in like Canada, I guess Alberta, Canada, but
Justin Trudeau's Canada.
And people were just like had to vocally display how like not gay they are by making sure everybody around them in their theater and all their friends know, like, ooh, I see a penis on screen. I have to let you know that I don't look like that. It's not just like it makes me uncomfortable, I'll keep it to myself sort of thing. It's like, like I need to project how not gay I am sort of thing. And I like that. That's kind of what I was talking about earlier, is there is a lot of that. There is a lot of that in society still, of especially dude bros who would be, you know, wanting to see an action-packed superhero movie sort of thing. Where
Who's got the case of the
that still exists in some way or another. And I always find it so strange because, you know, it's not like we've never seen tits or vagina on screen before. But if you see a dick, people are like, ugh! It's so strange.
Do the gay men project like its own gayness to the audience? Do the gay men project their gayness like straight?
Oh yeah, exactly. Like imagine if like every tit shot in a movie there was some gay dude going like, ew, gross. Like,
ew.
It's from a level of like cultural norm and taboo versus like personal insecurity because of that, you know. Like if we weren't conditioned for it to be so abnormal, then it wouldn't be. You know, it exists solely because of how we have been treating it, and that's why our attitudes towards sexuality and or sexual perversion or fetishes or whatever, anything that's kind of been kept behind a closed door for X thousands of years or whatever, that's why our attitudes are constantly changing and evolving, because outside of our attitudes themselves, there's nothing really objective in terms of the morality associated with sexuality. It's all just how we treat it. Anyway, so I'm going to wrap this up pretty soon and finish up this hangout and get to finishing up my amusement part 3, which, if all goes well, could be out like by tomorrow. Like that's when I promised.
Cool.
But I mean, like at the very least, at the very latest, it should be out by like the end of the day tomorrow. But I'm hoping that if I'm working really hard on it and if all goes smoothly and there aren't a lot of issues, then I could have it like exporting by tonight, sort of thing.
America's Trump.
Are you going to stream the editing process like you did before?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Most of it, I think.
Got it.
Yeah, still gotta do a couple things for it that aren't gonna be on stream, but Yeah, so we'll wrap this up. If anybody in the Hangout had any final questions or comments or whatever, we can.
Yes, Adam, have you seen Ghost World by Terry Zwigoff?
Not yet, but I know that's on Criterion now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. I've wanted to see it, but I haven't gotten to yet. I've heard
I
good
recently
things.
made a tattoo from it. It's
nice.
It's like Seymour.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm looking forward to that one. I've heard good things about it.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
What were your thoughts on the Terminator movies up to Genesis?
Is Genesis 4?
5.
Yeah.
5? Oh yeah, Salvation was 4. I didn't even see Genesis, because I didn't like Salvation very much.
Right.
I watched the first Terminator when I was very, very young. I remember my dad wanted to show it. I was like 7 or something. I was like, it was very strange. And my dad was like, "Oh yeah, we'll watch this movie. It's a good 80s movie." And then I remember the like big like rated R thing shows up on the screen, and my mom's like, "Is this rated R?" My dad's like, "Oh, whatever. No, just it's probably not. It's fine." And then these weird caricatures that I'm doing of them. That's not how their voices actually are. I remember we watched the whole movie, and it was like, I don't like that. That wouldn't be something that I found myself to be like scarred by. You know, it was a lot of gun violence, and sure, it scared me a little. But I always found it so strange because they fast forwarded on VHS as soon as the like under the bridge sex scene starts. Like that's what they fast forwarded through in this like incredibly violent. And it was just like this. This is
fine.
It's just the perfect representation of like North American sensitivities, and especially 20 years ago or whatever, just like people being so uncomfortable with like sex and sexuality, etc. It's like, I get it. Probably makes you uncomfortable, and probably don't want to watch that with your kids. They're probably listening right now. They're patrons, but so not trying to insult you, mom and dad. Just telling a funny anecdotal story about something that happened. But yeah, I found that interesting. As for the films themselves, I don't consider them to be like amazing. They're enjoyable. I can understand their significance and purpose within the window of time that they came out, and especially with the second film and what that did for like special effects, computer generated special effects. Third film, not very good. I mean, they're all right. They're fun. They're nothing. They're not like masterpieces or anything.
Yeah. Thank you.
No problem. Any other closing questions and comments?
I do have a question. Oh,
Yes.
sorry. You go first, man.
I was just
Go
wondering, do you listen to the Smiths or Morrissey? And I was wondering what your thoughts on them were.
I probably have listened to some Smiths, but I wouldn't be able to like name a song, or I haven't actually gone through the discography, so I don't have any like real strong opinions but I understand that that line from Eternal Sunshine comes to mind where they're smoking weed and talking about the Smiths. I'm like, oh wait, no, that was the Clash. Never mind. Shit. But they were part of like the same generation, weren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm correct in categorizing them that way, at least. But yeah, no, I couldn't really tell you much about it.
Also, I just wanted to thank you because I was watching one of your top 10 lists and recently watched Submarine.
Nice.
And I really loved that film.
Awesome.
So you introduced that to me. So
Thank you.
thanks.
I appreciate it. We had another closing.
Yes. Yeah, that was me. I want to know what your opinion on this whole Weinstein disaster.
I mean, like, obviously, it's awful. I find it very very interesting just how many people, celebrity or otherwise, have decided to jump on the I don't even want to call it a bandwagon, but to jump on the social issue in a way where everybody's kind of coming out with their own sexual harassment or sexual assault stories and adding to the conversation. Doesn't surprise me that a rich Hollywood producer would be, taking advantage of people. I think that I don't want it to seem like I'm like defending him in any way. But I guess something that I don't see a lot of, which I'm more interested in, is like the psychological issues that would lead for someone to do this. And I just, I'm really interested in character studies. So when I see like an immoral character, I want to like understand them, And it's so strange to me because I've never like taking advantage of people in that sense, or like the idea of fetishizing or seeking out or like preying upon someone in that way. Like that's like the least attractive thing I could possibly think of in my own sexuality. Like I need someone to be attracted. Like I want somebody that wants me, that's what I want. And so I'm so like interested by what psychologically these people are looking for. And apparently there's a decent amount of people. Apparently there's a lot of, dudes who are in positions of power that really don't quite see anything wrong with using that power to get laid or get what they want sexually out of another person, like apparently that's just the thing. And it makes for an interesting character study, at least in my mind. It's something that's so outside the realm of anything I could possibly want in my own life, like I could never, it's difficult to empathize with. I don't know. It's very strange, and you just I think if you put human beings in general in a position of power, there's going to be certain human beings that abuse that power and are just incredibly selfish about what they get out of other people and don't really take much consideration for how that could be affecting the person that they're taking advantage of. I don't really know what else I'm supposed to say on it. Like it's bad.
Adam, I just had another recommendation for an unintentional comedy. So last year's The Void, which a lot of people were championing for. It's like, oh, it's practical effects. It's fucking hilarious. The acting and the writing.
I've noticed, there's been a lot of people that were recommending it, but it doesn't have amazing reviews. And so I'm intrigued, to say the least.
Yeah, it's because people were just recommending it like as an actual like throwback horror film. And then I just thought it was hilarious just because the acting and everything going on. So it's pretty fucking funny.
Yeah. I'll check it out. It's on my watch list anyway. Thank you. Any final closing questions, comments?
Oh fuck! Why did my screen turn black? All right. I was wondering if this is like a suggestion for Adam Plays. Have you ever heard of Pony Island?
I can't remember if I've heard of Pony Island.
Oh. It's only $5. It's pretty nifty.
I will leave a tab open. Pony Island.
It's not long either. It's shorter than Undertale.
Oh. Is it similar in
Yeah, it is. Basically made
okay.
It has its similarities to
Undertale with horses?
It's definitely way darker.
Oh. Okay, I'll check it out. Cool.
Yeah.
Seems interesting.
Was pretty cool talking to you.
May I make a closing comment?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to say this is my first hangout I've been in. I was wanting to message you, check it, Robbins, recently about the Patreon thing. I just want to say, thank you for doing what you do, being an excellent content creator. I love your versatility and just how quick-witted and snappy you can be, and at the same time insightful. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and thank you all for your support. Also, like you're all here helping me do this and pay rent and watch movies and do shit like recording my album, which is going very well.
Good.
Still got a lot of work to do on it. But
I have a question for you. One
Yes.
last question. Now I know during your Oscar vid you made fun of Hacksaw Ridge's weird editing. What do you think about the movie as a whole?
It wasn't. I mean, like it. I don't know why people loved it. It wasn't. It seemed like the point it was trying to make was taking precedence over everything else. And there was a decent amount of it that was just like laughable. Like, my God, I'm just trying to remember specific scenes from it. Like the there was like a moment where like everything was quiet, and then the guy like got up from like being dead and just like screamed and like into the camera like ah, and it was so cheesy and bad.
I'm gonna have to beat you.
That too, yeah. I mean, it was just it wasn't a great movie, and that was another movie where like sure there were people in the global market that watched it too, but that was a definitely a this is for America movie. That was a like this is made to succeed in America mostly movie. So it was fine, but kind of bad. It wasn't great.
I thought Silence was better though. Is it
Silence was awesome.
Yeah,
I liked Silence a lot.
It's depressing as hell. It's depressing as hell though.
Yeah, Hacksaw Ridge was not good, in my opinion. All right, I guess that wraps it up. Unless there was anybody that.
I don't know. What perfect movie for Halloween? What do you think?
For what?
For Halloween.
Bye bye, man.
What's this Halloween?
Halloween. Okay, sorry.
Sorry.
Perfect movie for Halloween. Well, I mean, I did make a horror movie recommendation list, but also I guess like The Descent is one of my favorite horror movies. I haven't seen it in a while though, so maybe it's not as good as I remember. If you want to like do any Criterion ones, you could check out like Rosemary's Baby or Antichrist or like I don't know. It depends what you want to get out of it. If you want to like have fun with drunk friends and laugh at something and not worry if somebody's talking over the movie, watch Poultrygeist or Frankenhooker or Brain Dead, like Dead Alive. Those are all great. Have a party. People are drunk watching movies. Otherwise, if you're in for more like a if people talk during it, you might get pissed off sort of experience, then like Antichrist is a great movie, and yeah, like I said, Rosemary's Baby and Wreck is a good, fun kind of found footage horror movie. Like there's tons of things at disposal. It Follows is a good recent horror movie.
Oh, yeah.
If people are looking for like a more modern horror movie to watch, then It Follows would be my pick.
It Follows.
Yes, yeah. Very well presented. Is not completely consistent with the rules that it sets up. In some parts are kind of dumb, but it is benefits outweigh its flaws for sure, and it's definitely a very well presented, well made horror film. Anyway, thank you guys so much. Love you guys. This was a good hangout. I'm gonna try my best to get Amusement Part 3 out. There isn't a lot of work to do, but there's a good like full day's work to do on it. So
good luck.
Next time I'm gonna try to take the cap off Adam.
Yes. Anybody is wondering about Life is Strange, Life is Cringe.
Yes.
I'll be back to playing that as soon as my amusement review's out, but I just I said in one of my quickies that, it would be out for Halloween, and I just want to make sure that I don't want to be playing video games while it's still not out yet, so
I hope it's hella good.
Hella fab awesome steampunk.
I don't know why people
Anyway, love you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.